This is RPMMORadio.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
A podcast all about roleplay and MMORPGs.
I like what you got. Good job!
With your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Sid, Jazz, Sibh'Bae, and Kishmas.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Greetings and welcome, roleplayers, to RPMMORadio. This is our 36th, wow, 36th episode. We're just jumping right up there.
Get it right, man.
Man, 11 ways to roleplay. Number 7 might shock you. I hate those fucking headlines.
I know, I hate
BuzzFeed. But it makes for an ironic sort of title, so let's go with it. But appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. It's every Saturday night, 7 Central Time, twitch.tv/RPMMORadio. And of course, you can listen to us after the fact on our podcast at iTunes, Podbeam, Android podcast apps. There's really, pick your poison. Android has a whole lot of them, so they typically go up sometime on Sunday. So we appreciate everybody being here. And of course, I am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me today is Jazz, live from the grave. And Sid.
No lie.
How's it going, gals? It's just the three of us again for right now.
We're hoping to lure in a Kishmas later.
Yeah, we've got some Poke Traps out there. We got our Master Pokeballs ready. Should he appear, we will catch them all.
Mm-hmm.
And Sibh'Bae is out on family stuff, doing a picnic, or not picnic. What's that thing that he does? Camping. He's camping out in the middle of Texas nowhere.
Yeah.
So where he's at, he could probably see billions of stars and not a single bar on his phone. Which really, you just want one or two. So appreciate that. And it's why we have so many hosts now, so that way if, stuff happens with one, we still end up with at least 3. So with someone like Jazz, it was almost 2.
Yeah, it was.
What was that?
So bad for Jazzy.
Was that
Yeah, I got
Thursday,
my voice back, so.
Wednesday night, Thursday night?
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Wednesday night. Well, I was sick Tuesday, but I told
You were
myself
only
I wasn't.
Yeah.
And Wednesday I went to work, and about halfway through the day I started
And that's when the Black Plague attacked.
Yeah, and it just started feeling awful, and I called it early and came home about 3 hours or 4 hours early on Wednesday, and then crawled into bed and woke up Thursday with the Black Plague.
Yeah. So I want to ask something, Jazz, because you recently experienced it because of this, I think, if I read your Facebook post right. And for those I know, I get it. We're a role play show. Let's just stick this into the healer role play category. Why with all our modern technology, the fact that we've got one really rich guy, Mars shotting at the moment, do we still have to stick a 24-foot stick up your nose, pierce your brain out the back of your skull to test for the flu?
Yeah, I know. It apparently
What the fuck?
A friend of mine is a nurse, and she explained that that's where the flu virus sits. And there's no easy way to get to it short of either sticking a needle into your sinus, which would hurt a whole lot worse.
Oh my God.
Which they could do. They can penetrate.
I'm just good with a lobotomy at this point. Anything but sticking
Right.
that
She started
pencil up my
explaining
nose.
that they would have to go in with a needle and take a sample, or they could go in with the Q-tip, which
There's
is
a sinus
obviously
cavity.
less. Yeah, it up in there and swab up in there. And that's the least invasive and least painful way to get that sample.
Yeah, not the most comfortable. It's like that scene out of the Batman movie with Heath Ledger. I just see them coming at me with that swab, and all I can hear is Heath Ledger, "You want to see a magic trick?" and slamming that guy's head onto the pencil.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it feels like.
Yes, it does. And
Oh,
I've had it
sweet
several
Mary
times.
Mother.
So I'm ready for it. And they're like,
No,
okay,
you're not. No, you think you're ready for it. You think
There's
you're
not enough
ready for it.
preparation in the world to be ready for that sucker
I
coming up
prepped
your
for
nose.
it for like 2 hours before I even went because I knew it was going to happen.
And then when you get in there, you're like...
Oh, God. And I sit on my hands so I don't punch the doctor. I don't punch the nurse because I would.
I have to hold my head so I don't jerk my head. I don't jerk.
She put her hand on the back of my head. She told me she was going to do it. She was like, this is what I'm going to do because it helps. And it did help because I didn't rear back this time and almost fall off the table. She put her hand on the back of my head and they did it.
Yeah,
it behind my back.
I always sound like Donald Duck or one of the ducks like
God, it's awful.
The feeling in your sinuses is just
I had to like get up and dance around the room and wave my hands around.
Yeah.
I was like going, oh my God.
Nydia in the chat asked, what did you come back to? The flu test. If you've
Yeah.
ever had the flu test and that 14-foot wooden spike with a little, I assume is some sort of, they say it's a cotton swab. I'm pretty sure it's a giant thing of paper towels is what it feels like when it gets up there.
It does. It feels awful. And see, first they did that, and then I had to sit back down, and they did the strep test,
here's the thing.
Similar in the back of the throat.
Everyone in healing roleplay, we're not even talking about healing roleplay, but I'm going to dig into this. We need more healing roleplay that does horrible stuff like that to our characters. Everyone's so gentle and kind.
Yes.
They're like,
Oh my God, yes we do.
They're like
remember
Dr.
Zreesh?
Crusher off of Star Trek: The Next Generation, who's always this won't hurt a bit, and it's all non-invasive and stuff like that. We need healers that are like, yeah, the only way to get the magic in there is bend over, grab your ankles. This is gonna tickle.
Say
You
a prayer to
remember
whatever
Zreesh,
God
right?
you're praying to.
The Zek following druid that I had that was
so.
very physical. She was always like that. This is going to hurt a lot, and I'm really sorry. I'm really not.
Yeah.
Hold still. She was kind of a
Yeah, we need more healers
sadist.
like that.
She
let's be honest.
was like that, yeah.
Anybody that's played a healer in an MMO, like in the official game mechanic capacity, after a few dungeons are that sadistic.
Yes,
they
you
would
are,
be more
because
than
people
happy to
won't
let DPS,
stop.
to shove a wooden spike up DPS's nose in order to heal them after they stood in the red circle for the 18th time.
And over. And then they died. They're like, why aren't you healing me? Why are you being stupid and standing in the red circle? I'm not a
Stand
magician.
in the red circle.
Or the DPS that is a mage but decides to pretend that he is a
tank
and
a
runs in and smacks the guy, and I'm
with
just
his
like,
strongest spell, no less.
yes. And so the mob turns around and runs at him, and he dies, and this happens 4 times in a row. And he looks at me and types, those little buttons are called heals.
No, he didn't.
And it was the tank actually that said that to me. He was pissed because that was it. He was his friend who was the mage, and he was like, those little buttons are called heals. You should push a few of those. I said, those little buttons down below, those are called taunts. You should probably be using those because I can't heal your stupid ass and her stupid ass and keep you both alive. So pick one and I'll keep that person alive. He was like, oh, well, I'd rather you heal me. Yeah,
Well,
see, I thought
go.
you'd understand.
Then shut up. Shut up and get out of my face.
I was a great healer. I was very good at it, but I did not take any
Humble
shit
brag.
from people. I'm not humble
brag.
at all. I was very good at being a healer, but I had no patience.
So humble.
0.
What was that? There's some little thing out there that says how to let people know that you're in charge when you're a healer. You just let them die. The first couple goes around.
There's I think I shared it in both this. There was a girl in Final Fantasy 14 who does little videos, and she did some on how to tank properly, how to heal properly. And
I saw those.
I
Those
think I posted them, and they were
Yes.
great. She was like, to assert your dominance as healer, just stand back and let them know that while you're AFK, the entire group needs to wait. You know.
Not a lie.
Everything it was just the worst possible advice.
Hilarious.
But
It was hilarious.
if
Yes.
you've played an MMO for a year and you've played the game outside of just role play, you've met these people. So
Yeah.
But no idea how I got onto that topic. But
Tangent,
I'm glad you're
but that
feeling
was
better,
fun.
Jazz.
Because we were talking about healers need to do RP
yeah.
where they don't always just sweetness and light. That they're like, this is gonna hurt. Hold still.
Hold on, let me get the rubber glove. Whoosh.
Yeah.
No.
Put your
Like,
hands
I
on
was
your
one
head,
of the-
turn to the left, and cough.
How many characters would be like, I'm good. I'm good. I'm walking away.
When Zarish would walk in the room, people would do that. I'm good. You can stay over
You're
there.
like-
I'll
you're like,
just
but
My
there's
elbow's
bone.
still
There's
connected by
bone there,
tissue.
but I'm good. I'm good. But there's bone hanging out. No, it's okay.
I'll be fine. Don't
Yeah.
touch me,
All is well.
please.
I'd like to go for a walk now.
I'll just rub some dirt in it. I'm good.
I feel happy. I'm feel happy.
And like,
I'm not dead yet.
as a healer, I often got called to deliver children.
Mm-hmm.
And being as I have 4 children,
You used the
I
rolling
do
pin on the
not.
stomach and just squeezed it out like a tube of toothpaste.
Oh, that's
No,
awful.
but
This is
I
why
did
This
pelvics.
is why I don't play a healer.
No,
I
that's
did
a good thing.
pelvics, and I did the whole, let's see if you're dilated enough. Oh my God, is your whole hand in there? I mean, the whole thing. I mean, I wanted to give these people, because they were like, I want to have kids someday, so I'm role-playing having children because I want that experience. And I was like, well, then you need the full experience, princess. Lean back,
Woo!
because this is not fun, and you're going to learn.
No.
All
This
right.
whole, okay, push twice. Oh, it's a baby.
Yeah.
Oh, he just graduated. Yeah.
Nope.
It's
Petty.
those comedy videos where it's like the kid shoots out like a football and they just catch it.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
spike it. Spike the baby. But all right, so
The
moving
best-
on here
hold-
real quick.
Hold on, I have one more quote before we
Okay.
take off. In Law and Order. Yeah, Law and Order.
I'll have to take
There was
your
this
word on that one.
great scene, and when the police chief, the female, who was the police chief it was in the middle of the show. I don't know how long she was police chief, but she was police chief. And they had a lady in there that claimed that she had a baby and she passed out to labor, and when she woke up, the baby was gone. And the guys were just like all swallowing this hook, line, and sinker. And am I still on?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay, good. Because, yeah.
We're just listening.
No, well, it's... Hold on. I lost my screen.
Oh my gosh.
There we go. Anyway, so the guys, they were both men, and they were listening to her, and, you know, she's doing the whole sob thing, and they're like, oh, we understand, that's so terrible, da 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 da. Well, they leave the questioning room, and she's there, and she's like, so what's going on? And they're explaining to her, and her face, it was so perfect, just gets more and more incredulous with every passing second. And they're like, what's the matter? She's guilty. How do you know that? No woman is lucky enough to pass out halfway through labor. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. She's lying.
Nope.
No. Not unless she also
That's true.
took several gunshots to the
Right.
chest. Yeah.
Right. I mean, but she was nothing wrong with her, and she hadn't
Right.
taken any medication. And she's like, no woman is that lucky.
Mm.
Nope.
No one.
I can speak
And it
from
was a
experience
great
having
one.
used to be... Wait. Nope, never been a
Uh-huh.
woman. Is it as awful
Yeah.
as it seems like?
It really is.
It is.
That's what I thought.
It is.
It is.
Daniel Tosh. Is it awful, women, knowing you'll always be second best?
Oh. Yeah, that's something Tosh
He's
would
so
say.
bad, but I love that guy. He's really funny. Oh. Okay, completely off topic again because I heard it. There's a new special by Ricky Gervais on Netflix. I know he was the British comedian that's hosted. I think it's one of the music awards, the Grammys or something. But he apparently in this he's not very politically correct, and he does it on purpose. He does a lot of transgender jokes and things like that because. And then he goes into explains why you need to and things like that, especially if you're a comedian, because that's the thing with comedy and humor. If you can't go to the places that you shouldn't go, you're not really doing comedy anymore. That's what comedians have always done. They've pushed the envelope. But he apparently tells a lot of stories about how he messes with his girlfriend, and he's like, okay, well, what about this for an opening line? What does the blind, deaf, mute kid get for Christmas? She's like, I don't know what. Cancer.
Jeez.
Right, but you laughed. Because it's the worst possible thing you could think of. And that's what I love about the comedy. It's usually the worst thing you can think of, and it gives you the reason to laugh at it. Like that guy Lazza and the Truth Bob, who of course are raid level Patreon donors, which you can also become part of at patreon.com/RPMMORadio.
Nice. Nice tie-in.
That was
really
so
smooth.
smooth.
Yeah, that was good.
We love you too, by the way.
Bye, 90. That's
We
our
love
daughter. I also want to give a special thanks to Cops, who I can't remember if I did it last time. Dude, you really we need to have a talk about your name, because Chattahoochee, that's it.
Chattahoochee, yes.
That is a long name, and it's really, really intimidating when you first look at it. And Hunta 90, appreciate you guys following us on Twitch.
Yes, thank you guys.
Which you too can do. You can both follow us and subscribe if you have if you want to beat out of pocket, or if you have an Amazon Prime account. You actually get one free Twitch Prime subscription, which we would, of course, love for you to give to us, because I don't know. It's neat. I mean, you don't really get much out of it. I'm supposed to do an emoji, but I'll be honest, finding emojis that you can actually do that are neat and new, not easy. For some reason, they all come in a list of like a single picture of like 40 of them, and I guess I'm supposed to break them up. The fuck
are we supposed? Somebody needs to explain that to me, too,
no
because
idea.
I don't know. If we're supposed to break them apart, I mean, what does that mean?
I don't know. It means absolutely nothing to me, because I've even looked for like emoji jitter. Wow, I just totally burped into the mic. That came out of nowhere. That was
really gross.
That was... I'm so sexy right now. Look at me. So good. Chilies, baby back ribs. Sorry, Austin Powers reference for all those born in the 80s and watched it in the 90s. But yeah, I've got no idea what the fuck to do with emojis, and finding them in individual little things is such a pain in the ass. Even searching for like an emoji maker, I don't get it. They don't seem to actually make them like that. For all our advancements, why isn't someone else come up with the things that I want to do? It's really selfish when you think about it, you know? I'm just saying.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about people that create stuff on the internet. Why haven't they thought of me and made stuff that I want before I knew I needed it?
I see.
Right.
He's super lazy.
I just have no idea how to make emojis. So anyway, what have we been doing in roleplay? Which, of course, we can say this episode without having to get Jazz super duper drunk.
That was
and
so
going
bad.
over that, when I listened to it, I think, Jazz, we missed 4 extra drinks for you and 2 for me. So you would have been even more knackered after the fact than you already were.
And I found out why. This is the fun part about that.
Oh.
I talked to a friend of mine who is
Try to
very
explain,
smart.
like, why is the wine making me look so damn good?
His name's Razor Edge. He watches this quite a bit.
Oh yeah, Razor.
And yeah,
Razor.
and he and we had been talking about, because I drink Patron and I do shots and I don't have this problem. Well, he explained why with math, which I like, and we went through volume.
Math is the devil's science.
So he proved that it was because there's more volume in wine, because I'm having a bigger glass than I would have a shot.
Oh.
So it actually turns out that I'm actually drinking more proof with wine than I am, because I had 3 glasses.
The shot, there's not as much surface area to be absorbed by your stomach and intestines on its way out.
Right.
Ah. That makes sense.
And also there's just simply more volume of alcohol in a glass of wine than there would be in a shot. And I just never thought it, because I thought because the proof was higher.
Yeah, that's what I always went off of.
And it's because a shot glass is 40 proof, but it's this much.
But it's 1 ounce. Yeah.
But it's 1 ounce. And a wine glass is a glass of wine, and you're drinking 14%.
Yeah. It's like 16
so you're
ounces.
actually drinking more alcohol with wine when you drink it like a wine glass. So that was very interesting.
So yeah, now going and taking this into the I just have 4 bottles of whiskey and I feel fine role players. This is the other reason why your character's not fine. They're super duper dead, because you just drank the equivalent of she got that drunk on 14 proof wine. You're drinking that same amount, but it's 40 proof.
Yeah.
You're dead.
I mean, and I had 3 glasses of wine, which wasn't even a bottle of wine.
No.
And I have a tolerance. I can drink most people under the table.
Just as long as it's not wine.
But apparently,
over the course of 2 hours.
Yeah. Good Lord, I don't know. And also it's sweet, so I guess it absorbs a little differently for me. Whereas with alcohol, it's not, and maybe I just don't digest it as well. I don't know.
Well,
but
and I will say for our listeners, the after, we always talk after the show, go over what how it went, and like try to decide what we might do next week. Jazz was very, very happy.
Oh,
and
she was
she
so
was
happy.
also exceptionally flirty. She's like, let's go to the other channel where the young guys are at.
I'm very much a cougar when I'm drunk. That is very true. Oh, yeah.
That was, yeah. I will say it was hilarious.
It was pretty damn funny.
Well, we logged into the game. Was that the night? No, I don't remember if that was the night or not.
It was.
I can't remember, but we were all at Rift and role playing.
Yeah, that was the same night.
I would just.
So we'll go do this as part of your what were you doing in RP? Okay. So you go ahead.
I'll stop.
No, we're doing the what have you been doing in role play. So this is you going first now.
Okay, but no, we all showed up at Riften, but I was there first, and I just was doing random RP with people, 2 different guys, and it was interesting. And,
she was doing 2 different guys. It's just what you want to hear out of your wife's mouth. Things I've never heard come out of her mouth before for 100, Alex. Doing 2 different guys at once.
I was RPing with 2 different guys. I'm blushing so
I know
bad
right now her face is red as a grape.
But anyway,
grape.
So anyway, Jazz shows up on Sayil, and then Sibh'Bae shows up, and another friend of ours, Caves. Well, Sayil walks over, grabs my character by the hand, walks her back down to the other end of the bar, and leaves her with Caves and Sibh'Bae's character, and then turns around and walks back down to the other end where the 2 guys were standing there talking to me. And it was hilarious. I was like...
She just totally vagina blocked you.
Totally.
You've been vag blocked. I didn't realize that was even a thing for women, but I guess it is.
I even leaned back and said, hey, she just totally walked me down to the end of the bar, left me with Sibh'Bae and Caves, and then walked right back down there and started talking to those guys. And Ashton was like, uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Somebody's feeling good.
Yeah.
No, it was funny, Jess. I got a huge kick out of it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I also got a text from your husband. He said, thumbs up, thank you. I don't know what that meant, but I assume it was.
Yeah.
So what about you, Jess? What have you been doing last week? Other than obviously vag blocking people.
Well, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, of course, I was in a coma healing.
Yeah, we had live footage of that put in the chat earlier.
Monday and Tuesday, I did get some role play in Riften on Sully and on Xiao. So it was all just like character development, which is nice. Mm-hmm. Last night I got some role play Friday night because I was finally feeling, I feel bad when I log out and because I can't role play. I can't even level because I feel so awful.
It seems like such a stupid thing to, like we're literally sitting here, we're, hitting a couple buttons. It doesn't seem like that should be something like anything could keep us from doing, but man, there's times it's just like even that's how you're sick with a role player when you can't even log into a game and sit here and tap buttons because the act of thought is just too much to bear.
Just painful. Yeah.
I tried to do an assassin quest. And I was just like, after my 4th horrible death, I just canceled the quest and got kicked out. And my husband was like, are you okay, honey? I said, I can't do this. And I said, I got to go, guys. That was Thursday night. So Friday night when I came in, I did not try to do anything but role play. And I had a good time on Xiao.
That's good.
First on Sully and then on Xiao. And it was a lot of fun. So really, I'm still working on a lot of character development for Sully, building her story. And I'm trying to come up with some storylines for Xiao that don't include her flirting. So, because that does seem to be, or werewolves, because that's not really, and I know people say things about that, but I
But
don't.
it doesn't need to be a central focus.
It's
It really
not. To
doesn't
me,
need to
it's
be about
not. To
werewolves.
me, it's not. She became a werewolf in order to survive in Black Marsh.
Out of necessity, and now
not-
it's just
yeah.
a thing.
It's just
It's
a thing,
not the
and she
end-all
still
be-all of her
plays.
existence.
Right, so she still plays with the idea of getting rid of it. She's still wondering if she could negotiate her way out of it with her scene. So she still plays with the idea. I always roll, and it's always no. She stays a werewolf. So for now, she's still a werewolf. Plus, she's mated to a werewolf, so it'd be kind of weird if she wasn't one. So that's just going to stick around for a while. But anyway,
furry costumes she can get.
it's not. You're funny.
That's what I'm here for.
The central focus of her
Mhm.
roleplay. Oh, and yesterday I was role-playing with this guy, and he knew he was on Mikey's show.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
one of the guys
cool.
from Mikey's show.
Yeah, and so he was like, wait,
ESO
you're
Spotlight.
Jazzy? He didn't know that was my character.
Oh, cool.
So it
Yeah,
was
he's
neat
had-
because all of a sudden we knew each other sort of, because we
Yeah.
listened to the
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think he's
that was
had
interesting.
4, we were 3 of them, and I think they're up to, I think there are 4 or so episodes after that now. I think they've had 7 or 8 now. I don't
Well, he was
remember every
number
character.
2. He was the second interview,
Okay.
and then he started
Yeah,
interviewing
because
us.
the first one was Human Floyd, so he was the second guy. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm
And-
terrible with names, so it's not.
Yeah, I'm
I
terrible with
listened
names
to that
too.
one though.
But it was really interesting. I friended him, and we had a chance to talk.
Yeah,
So it
that's
was,
cool.
it was a
That
lot
is
of
really
fun.
cool.
Yeah. So it was really nice because I met somebody that I told him that I did a podcast today, and then he was like, wait, you're Jazzy? So it kind of clicked.
I'm a celebrity.
Mhm.
At least it's better than being infamous like I
That's
was.
right.
before.
You're
So-
Yeah.
You're used to being infamous. You're not used to being. I wouldn't say famous, but known at least. I
Mhm.
guess
Yeah.
before you were known,
Now
but it
I'm-
was infamously so.
Yeah, it was not a good thing.
Yeah.
So this is
That's
cool.
cool.
So that was my RP experience. Your
Cool.
turn, Mike.
I didn't do nothing. Oh wait, no, there was that little thing where Tarvala finally beat Kishmas. She whooped his ass because he's not here to
Oh,
say
wow.
otherwise. But that thing that we had spoken of last week, where he had done
Lost
the
his
spell,
memory. Did she?
right? She was furious with him. I mean, just like it's a weird thing that we really need to talk about sometime, and maybe even a little bit here, because I don't know how long the top 11 thing will go, but I could feel, we play the characters, and we can feel the emotions that they feel. It's just like when you watch a movie and it's inspirational or it's sad, you can actually you empathize with them. Like, I could feel how angry. I mean, I wasn't angry with Kishmas or Roger myself, but through Tarvala and seeing the situation that she had been put in and the things that had happened and how she, basically idolizes him like a big brother, I could feel just how pissed she was. And I kept trying to think of surely it's been days now, surely. And the second their characters would be near each other, I'd feel like, nope, she'd still be pissed off at him. Cause
It's a woman's anger.
she's a woman.
Yeah.
It's a woman's anger.
Well, and the difference for her is she's got a bit of that tomboy in her, and they were discussing, but they were talking in front of the temple, and she was trying to explain she doesn't have siblings, she's an only child, so she was trying to explain to him why would you do that? Why would you risk your wife, your daughter? You almost lost everything you have over the last 20 years, and for what? To prove something worked. And he is like, manly and standoffish, and like, you wouldn't understand. Some things just have to be done.
Mhm.
That's how I assume Raj talks in character. I hopefully he approves. But she was like, he's like, you just need to meditate on it. And she's like, he's like, no, I'm serious. You need to meditate. She's like, I've been meditating since the day it happened. You know what I've come up with? 12 different ways to kick your ass so hard that the 3 would take notice and turn their head. And he's like, all right, put your money where your mouth is. And so they went out there. Other people were already dueling. We've had a kind of a slow week, just kind of doing stuff, but it's been fun actually. And so they went out there, and she was focused like she'd never been. She really had put a lot of thought into it. And they've sparred before, but he's always beaten her. but she was determined this time. No matter what, she was gonna teach him a lesson. So she has a great sword, big long red great sword that she inherited from her fallen love, of course, because you can't have roleplay without some sort of a tragic story, and it was a neat reason for her to want to use a weapon like that, because I just think they're cool. But she was completely focused. She just started with the attack, and she swiped at his left and deflected. And he kind of deflected it, but she also flicked flame at his eyes that was poking over the shield to help blind him a little bit and distract him. And they traded several blows, and she stabbed her shield in there, or stabbed her sword in there, and like jerked it left and right to knock his sword out of one hand and his shield in the other, which caused it to splinter and kind of get in his face. And
nice.
So they were, they kept circling each other, because he's a very big character, but she's like a Wonder Woman style. She's Amazonian. She's like 6'2", 180 pounds of muscle, which is why she was always made fun of as a Dunmer, because you're not supposed to look like that.
Yeah.
But she's, and she's very skilled. There's other things that go into it as well, but I'm not even remotely touched on that yet. But she ended up besting him by, he charged in, because he's not real great with magic at times, and she had, charged at him back, but then turtled at the last second and kicked her legs out and flipped him up, a good 10, 15 feet over her head. And then he was almost beaten, and then he went cheap. And as he bent over, he punched her right in the crotch.
Oh.
Or no, kicked her right in the crotch, which I get is not the same as with a man, but also, you're still being kicked.
It hurts like hell.
You're still getting kicked. So when she was going down, because that was unexpected, and since he brought that up, she, with her 6'2", 180 pound strength, punched him right in the dick.
All right.
And they kind of traded blows, and in the end, he tried to do a few cheap moves, trying to get that stuff in there. I'm sure that guy Laza says Kishmas's Roger's character is actually in character sounds like Jar Jar Binks.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever heard Raj be like, "We're going to fights now." Woo-hoo-hoo. Bomb. Misa loved the 3. Everyone else is bomb bad. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard him say that, but
I can see that.
Yeah, in the end, she finally, she headbutted him right between the eyes at the bridge of the nose, and basically blacked out his eyes and blinded him, and he actually yielded at that point. But it was a lot of fun, and it's a big moment for her too, because she's always strived to be, what he is, and try to be the best she can be for him and the other ordinators. And also, she just wanted to really, really teach him a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of the biggest moment. Everything else there was a lot of little stuff that was fun. But that was a big character changing moment, I think, for Tarvala. We'll have to see how that comes about. But that's definitely something I look forward to seeing how things go. A couple other little quick news story things. Shroud of the Avatar actually launches this Tuesday on March 27th. So it's an MMO, and I told you guys last time I didn't get into it much. I streamed it for about 2 hours. It's definitely an MMO you can roleplay in, without a doubt. I don't think they have, if they do, they don't have the emote system, which is annoying. But the world itself completely does lend itself to it. They've got housing. They actually have, you can actually make player-made towns.
Nice.
The way the overmap, it's kind of, it's kind of for old school gamers. It's kind of Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger-esque, in that there's the zones like you would typically think of a zone, like you have an ESO or World of Warcraft or EverQuest. That's a zone. But when you zone out of that, you go into kind of like almost an overworld mini map kind of thing, and you can actually travel from that tier to, and it's kind of a safe area. You can travel the roads basically and go to the next town or like the next zone. It's not a straight zone. Like if you zone out of one area, like if you zone out of East Commons, you don't zone directly into West Commons. You can skip past West Commons and travel on this mini map up to another place. It's a little weird, but I mean, it's one way of traveling, I guess, Um, the graphics are, I can't even say they're 5 years out of date, because that's how old ESO is, and ESO beats the crap out of it graphically. Especially at least on characters. The world itself doesn't look that bad. Characters are probably about 10 years out of date and a little clunky. The combat was pretty fun. I only got I only got 2 hours into it. This is a very basic review I'm giving here. I did actually manage to bump into somebody who was in the game, and I was teasing because I was saying Stranger Daver. His name is Afro Man because he had an afro. Man. But funny enough, he actually found me while I was streaming it and then started chatting and helping me out in the stream while I was doing it and in the game as well, which was kind of fun.
That was cool.
It's definitely, there is a mini map in the game, but there's no markers. There's no quest markers. It does not hold your hand. Like I have literally had almost no idea what I was doing half the time. Like it gives you, it's one of those, it's like an old EQ and those types of games. It gives you the very basics in the journal to do quests. You kind of have to figure it out from there, which is both neat and also a little hard to go back to at this point. I mean, I don't know if I can do it just because I don't know if I have that kind of time anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it was fun, and I think it'd be a game that's really fun if you've got people to play it with. That's just the game itself. The way it levels is different too. You don't just level like, again, like most World of Warcraft, ESO, that kind of thing. It's more like Star Wars Galaxies, where as you use skills, as you use magic, those each type of those individually level up on their own. Like the kind of like Jazz, you remember in Sib 2, I think by the time you got there, Sib, it meant a lot less. It was basically worthless. But how when you would use a slashing weapon in EQ, it would level up, and the more you used it, the better you got.
Yes, they changed that later, but yes, that
right.
Was,
I mean, it was still there, but it was. I mean,
we still joked about it because
it was utterly worthless. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't in the beginning.
No, not in the beginning. I mean, by the time.
But at the end, it was just dumb. They stopped leveling weapons, I think, halfway through the game. But it was a lot of fun because as you used it, you could see the little ticker keeping track of
you got better at slashing, a 9 of 15,
Right, and it still did that at the end, but you could just, like, put yourself on auto fight and go into a bunch of halfway hard mobs, but not really, and then just level it up. And then we had the dummies.
And with this, imagine if that was that, but without your levels, without your ding level.
Yeah.
This is literally how you level your skills. So if you don't use it, you don't use it. And also, you can apparently like put in how many points, like how much experience points you want to do to keep leveling that. And if you actually stop doing it or you cut it out together, it will actually, it's like almost like real life. The less you use the school, it may slowly degrade over time your ability to do it, which is I actually thought was kind of cool. I'll admit, because there are so many. You've got, there's swords, there's bows, there's all those, and then there's the magic types, of which I think there's 8 of them. And then there's a few other things, and all that stuff, you use it to level it up, and you gain the experience that goes to that, which I'm talking about, I didn't get in the role play. I actually looked up. There seems to be a fairly strong roleplay community. There was, I forget what it was called, but if you look Shroud of the Avatar RP, you can actually find the top one had not been updated since 2015. So I'm assuming, of course, the first Google search is completely worthless now, but the second one still had stuff as of like today. So that's still clearly being used. You actually, even though it launches officially on the 27th, you actually can play it now. And they have a free trial to play up to skill level 50s on the stuff. After that, you'd have to buy it in order to keep going. But it's got player cities that you can make on that little mini map I'm telling you about. It's got housing. So I can see it having a pretty strong and loyal roleplay community there. You know,
And what's it called again?
it's called Shroud of the Avatar. It was
I've actually seen bits and pieces of this. I missed somehow. I don't know if I just zoned out for a minute, but I completely
it was a
missed the title when
Kickstarter
you said
game,
it.
and it's really been going
Yes.
on for
Yes.
years now. And I think, according to the guys I talked to, I think their last server reset was, I want to say it was September or December, one of the Ember months of 2017, and now they've stopped. Like, so those characters that are high level, they're not getting reset according to this. Them putting up.
Yeah, it's
phoning
part
up
of the
money
ultimate. What was the name of that? Ultima.
is the
Ultima.
I think it was done by the Ultima Online people or former people. Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's got. I mean, it looks like fun. It might be something to try out.
I flagged that. Yeah, I flagged that back a while back, and I just never heard anything else from it.
And you can play it for free. So I mean, if you want to try something new, give it a shot. See if you like it. I will say, you have to put at least a solid 2 hours into it, because like any game, the beginning it doesn't hold your hand, and you really need to have patience with it. And if you're not going to have that, I can guarantee it's not going to be your cup of tea. Even I'm not sure how much I'd even play it, to be honest with you, but I might dabble with it just to try to get some of that old school stuff and see.
Is it Forsaken Virtues of Forsaken
Shroud
Virtues?
Of the Shroud. Oh my God, Shroud of the Apper. That's not even a word. Shroud of the Avatar Forsaken Virtues, I think, is the full
it's on
title.
Steam.
Yeah,
so maybe
it's on
I can
Steam
get
as
it.
well. Yeah, you can get it through Steam. So something to try out. I mean, if you do that, Jazz, maybe some of us we could jump in there and stream it again.
Yeah, we can do a stream. That'd
just
be fun.
to see what you think.
Also, weren't we going to stream the Stay Alive Together, or whatever that was called?
Whenever we get around to that, yeah.
Don't Starve. That
Don't
was
Starve,
it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I'm still up for that too.
I need to get Steam.
Yeah, you need to get a Steam account. The other thing, of course, that came out this week was Sea of Thieves, which I'll tell you about next week because I didn't get to play any of it.
How come?
They said they were having upwards of 5,000 people a minute logging into the game.
Wow.
You can imagine how well the servers were doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know I had a lot of people that said that they were playing it, and I haven't even started.
Yeah,
I'll wait for the fervor.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a role play game. It's literally, it's. I mean, you'd have to do the voice role play because there's no text or there's no typing, anything like that. It's all, you'd have to be.
Oh, right. There's no typing.
No.
Oh, that will never happen. Then I cannot be in voice.
It's really more of an action online co-op game, to be honest with you. But I think it could be a lot of fun because when you man your ship, like someone has to steer, someone has to help you navigate because this game has no maps. There's no map at all. So you have to have somebody with a compass to help you navigate how to get around and where you want to go. Then you've got to have, if you come across something, you've got to have at least 2 other people to help fire the cannons. So, because you can't have one person doing it all. So you actually have to work together with your crew in order to do stuff. So, I mean, I can see where it's going to be a super fun game. I'm hoping this week I'll have time to get to it and actually, because the 2 days I tried, it was just no go. And then after that, I had roleplay stuff in ESO. So hopefully next week I could tell some folks about Sea of Thieves. I know a lot of people have been excited. And I mean, if you want real reviews, you obviously don't have to wait for me to tell you. I'm not really a review guy, but I'm always free with my opinions for some reason. I don't know if anyone's
that's kind of you.
Ever noticed that.
Really? Because I totally pigeonholed you.
No. I mean, the discussion we had earlier, I mean, why would you think that I would just randomly give my opinion without being asked? Or
imagine that. Stunning.
So, all right. So go ahead.
I will say, I didn't get to do all my RP. Tell people, I've only got to tell them about the one story, and then you shut me down.
Yeah, well, because you're a woman, and I got tired of hearing you.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Go ahead and continue, sweetie.
Well, I just wanted to say I had a lot of good RP, which I've not got to do in the past several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I would RP in the Luna Guild with the night that, Jazz Vagina blocked me. And then...
Man.
And I'm
Just
really
like her,
sorry
too.
about that.
it was hilarious, though. It really
She
was.
said
It
it
just...
sincerely.
I was okay with it because it helped me further me and Strafe's storyline that we're kind of working on.
Till he
And,
fucked it up.
Oh, and we did our sparring match and it was a lot of fun. And of course, Volley won because she cheated. She threw dirt in his eyes. She's a dirty fighter. We'll just go that way.
That's it. I'll allow it.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. And then let's see, she ended up punching a post or a column because her mom actually came into the picture, which is also played by me. And she told Strafe's character, Trithalis, that she forbids him to have anything to do with Volley, which is her adopted daughter. Because
that didn't go over well.
No, it didn't. So it's really got a lot of drama going on, which I'm happy about because drama's fun if you do it the right way. Drama's fun.
Drama's fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
In-character drama is fun.
Yeah. And I have got to RP with the servants more this last week, which has been a lot of fun because I still feel like an outsider in that guild. And so I'm getting more comfortable with them and getting more into the storylines. And I was able to write 2 journals this week, which I was excited about. One for Volley, one for Knife. So it was a good week for RPing with me. I got to, just get in there and have some fun, which I haven't been able to in the past several weeks. So that was my RP. Thank you. Thank you for letting me finish
it. Man. All right. Well, before we hit this list up, we'll go ahead and do a quick word from our sponsor. Hi, I'm Ashen Phoenix. You may know me from such videos as Halfling Tossing and You and I Was a Teenage Edgelord. But today, I come to you on behalf of all people. The tired, the poor, the huddled masses yearning to be free of top 10 lists. That's right. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people are assaulted by them on the internet, social media, and creepy emails from your great aunt. Everything from top 10 ways to shave that bikini area to top 10 ways to watch grass grow. It's a plague upon humanity. That's why I'm here with an organization I trust. Going back in time to kill David Letterman Foundation. David Letterman, of course, popularized the top 10 list with his Late Show, taking something only found in the pages of shoddy supermarket tabloids and making them mainstream. With your donation, we promise to invent a time machine and destroy David Letterman before this happens. Imagine the time gained by humanity and the good it will do if this scourge is eliminated. Cures for cancer, diabetes, even stupidity. With the amount of time saved from both creating and reading top 10 lists. So, dig deep, click on the link below, and donate today. That sounds like a worthwhile cause.
That was interesting.
So, without further ado,
I don't know where you come up with this crap.
A top 11 list.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It really is.
I stare at a screen and my fingers move.
I stare at a screen too, and my fingers don't move.
And that's what comes out. I don't know. I don't know. This is just... And then we wouldn't have to also see creepy David Letterman with that big white Santa beard that he's got right now.
Yeah, he does look very odd.
He's a little living in the forest drinking his own urine look right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of that.
Yeah, it's a little creepy. So, anyway, enough of David Letterman and his stupid top 10 list. Let's go to the future where we have a top 11 list.
Woohoo!
This is actually something, I think I saw this on one of the ESO RP forums, or it's some RP forum I found it on originally, and I thought it would be kind of a neat thing to go over. It's from lookrobot.uk, or .co.uk. By the way, Europe, you really need to figure out how the fuck you need to get your .coms working. You really don't need all that stuff. It's ridiculous. It's a speed of light. It's actually older. It's like from 2013 in June. As the author is a guy named Grant. And while it's actually about tabletop roleplay, literally everything translates directly into MMO roleplay because tabletop roleplay is like our grandfather. Without
Yes.
that, we wouldn't be where we're at.
Nope.
I mean, that's why it's called an MMO RPG.
Very
It's
good.
an RPG, which most developers have forgotten about that last part. So we'll go ahead and just get right into it. There was apparently he had a version where there was lots of cussing, and people got offended by that. Man, this was in 2013, 5 years ago, and must have just been at the start of being offended by everything. Drives me crazy. So let's see. One is we're just going to go through these, and then we're going to say whether we agree or disagree and why. Because just saying, yep, that's good, and then moving on, it's going to be a really boring show. It's not what we...
If you want to call in and disagree or agree with
Oh, yeah.
something, feel free to. We're
Yep.
a call-in show.
RPMMORadio.com/Discord. If you want to join our Discord channel right here, you actually can just put
Don't
yourself
make
in
that
the...
noise.
Wow. Just drop yourself in the caller waiting room.
Are you drinking?
I'm drunk on
I
water.
think so.
Speaking is not as easy as you people make it out to spoons be. So, all right. So with number one, do stuff, which, I mean, just the title alone, any disagreements on that? Yeah. Job one for you as a player is to do stuff. You should be thinking at all times, what are my goals? And what can I do to achieve them? You are the stars of a very personal universe, and you are not going to get anywhere by sitting on your ass and waiting for adventure to come and knock on your door.
That is very true.
It
Right?
is.
Yeah, and again, remember, this is originally for tabletop stuff, but literally, I read through this. A lot of this translates pretty well.
Yeah, I think that is something I think that a lot of, particularly new role players or people who are new to MMO roleplay have trouble with because they've always roleplayed with friends or they've been in a D&D where something's always done for them.
With the DM, right.
Right. And so they get into MMO roleplay and they come, I see this all the time in particularly in Tavern RP. It's very obvious. You've got the people who type 3 paragraphs and don't know what their enter key is for. And then you have people who walk in, stand in a corner and observe people and tell people their thoughts, but do absolutely nothing
to interact with them.
To interact with people. Or they'll even say, stands off on the side because he's so edgy and standoffish. You know, I mean, something along those lines.
Because this wall looked in danger of falling over and I'm saving everybody here.
Yep.
I mean, that kind of stuff, and you just want to go, dude, stop. Or the people who come in, sit down, and write in their journal and do not interact with anybody. Now,
now there's nothing wrong with that all the time.
No, there's not. No, there's not. Because when I first started role-playing Vodka, that's what I did. I went in and I sat at a table and I opened up my journal and I wrote in it. Now, she wasn't actually writing in her journal. She was writing down all the shit they were saying.
Yeah. Now, and here's the difference. When nobody interacted with you, how angry and out of character throwing a fit did you do?
Not at all, because that's what I wanted. What? I wanted them to ignore her.
You're sitting there in the tavern and you're just typing about how you're alone in your own thoughts and writing in your journal, but nobody came up to ask you what you were writing. You're supposed to be indignant and angry.
Well, see, that is, I mean, I had people who would walk up and say, what are you doing? And she'd be like, sitting here, writing. What are you writing? None of your business.
Right.
And then, but it would move on from there. It wasn't like I was trying to get attention. It was Vodka was taking notes because I was as well. Because I had never been to this game. And you remember when I first came to the game, there was a lot of intrigue going on and there were a whole bunch of storylines.
Yeah, there were quite a few established characters because I had come back after I played 6 months, had a real bad experience, wasn't digging on the game too much yet. And then came back 6 months later. And of course, 6 months in role play is decades.
It's forever. Yes, it's amazing. And I had just arrived, and I had a level, I think she was 15 or 16. And she was just an assassin for the Overlord. She had a very simple life, and she had a little one-room house, little one-room apartment. And so it was a lot of fun to just sit there and write down everybody's stories as Vaka tried to figure out who had the power, who was important, who wasn't.
And that's fine to do, and you can, and anybody can do that. You just can't.
Yeah.
It's the problem where it goes bad is when they get obstinate and get angry that nobody came to talk to them.
Yes.
Which
can't believe that no one has bothered to speak to her, so she just packs up her book and she trots out. And it's like, really?
Yeah. Exactly. And like Alice in the chat is like, it's in real life, if you walk into a bar and sulk in a corner and weep into your beer, nobody's going to suddenly come in and sweep you off your feet.
Most people aren't going to bother because they don't want to get into the drama.
There might be, if you're a chick, there might be one guy looking to get lucky after like hoping that you're just going to like take whatever comes his way. If it was a horrible breakup and you're wanting to get revenge sex, maybe. But even then, you probably want to get tested afterwards. But no, I mean, just being active. I actually like the next part too, is because this works in a lot of things.
Well, it also works with what we just said too. Well, number 2 does.
Well, no, not number 2. Just the next paragraph of do stuff.
Oh, okay.
Investigate stuff. Ask questions. Follow leads. No one needs you to point out that this is the obvious plot thread while you do it.
Oh, pet peeve. Yes.
Yeah. You don't
very much.
Mix up scenes, talk to people, get up in their grill, and if you're not playing the sort of character that would do such a thing, find something else you can do to affect that and then affect it.
Right.
Every bit of that is true, and,
yes,
and people and this was for D&D, and that probably is a lot easier to do that stuff in. People seem to forget the translation into an MMO is that stuff still exists. You can still investigate. You can still ask questions. You can still challenge people without having to, be rude and always like, I'll fight you if you don't answer, kind of things. But ask questions, man. You'd be amazed on Tarvala because she's younger and she's rather ignorant. The number of roleplay things and mini moments that happen because she's like, well, what about this? Like, there was a conversation her and Roger had after that they had their fight and all that stuff, where she's like, well, now that I'm not pissed at you and I don't want to kick your ass, how did your little experiment go? And he said that he had found out, he lost 20 years of his memory, and that he had found that, in his opinion, that it basically, if a purity test is used on, or a purity spell is used to purify a pure person already, it basically drives them mad. And she looked at him and thought, because he had reverted to 20 years before, he was very sheltered up to that point apparently, and he was flinching. He was very very kind of scared. He was asking about his father, who apparently he looked up to, and she had said, well, what if you're wrong? What if it doesn't drive you crazy? Because clearly you got your memory back in the same night, and all it took was you putting on your helmet visage, and it snapped your mind back into focus. So what if it's not driving you crazy? What if it took you back to a time when you are more pure than you are now, before you had become an ordinator, before you had seen death and destruction on massive scales and things like that? It took you back to a time when when life was simpler and you were more pure of heart and soul. And he is like, God damn it. So now they've got something else to bounce off of, just because you asked, well, how did it go? What did you learn? So now there's no telling what plot thread may come of that, just because you asked a simple question. Never be afraid to question characters around you, either about their past. I mean, it's like anything. What's the worst they're going to say? No.
Yeah, and it's also important, for people who are introverts, and this is something I hear a lot, who are like, well, I would never do that. Well, you're not this person.
You're right. You wouldn't do it.
But this isn't you. Well, my character is very introverted too. Well, then maybe you need to fix that.
Maybe you need to stop playing yourself.
Quit trying to play yourself and play someone who isn't as introverted as you, and maybe you will have a different. And I think that's a trick that I learned when I rolled up characters, because as you know, I use dice, so I don't have that worry. But I know a lot of people who create characters often put things into that character that they like about themselves. They like being an introvert. They don't realize that in roleplay, that's the death knell. If you can't walk up and talk to people, if you're just going to stand there and wait for someone to come and talk to you and then get mad because no one talks to you, you're never going to have any significant roleplay. You're just not. Or you're going to get gaslighted a lot by people who see you as a victim.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so, and then let's go ahead and one last sentence, because I like it. Be active, not passive. If you learn nothing else from this article, bloody learn this. Good advice. And to sum up number 1. Number 2, realize that your character does not exist outside of the things you have said, or in our case,
that's a hard one for people.
Are also written on a forum, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We at least have that extra little bit. But even that, you still have to have typed it. You can write as many pages of backstory as you like, mate. Apparently he's
British.
English. Yeah, British or English or Australian.
Could be Australian.
Mighty. But they don't factor in one bit to the game unless you show them happening. Are you a shrewd businessman? Cool. Do something business shrewdly in front of everyone else. Are you a hot jazz saxophonist? Probably not, because ESO and other games really don't have saxophones. But let's just go with that. Play the saxophone. Are you a wild elf struggling through social interactions with civilized people? Jazz. Struggle through those interactions. Don't
and I did on CL, didn't I?
It
was hard to watch her while she struggled with that. Now this is a major point for me when I'm trying to tell people about how you have all these role players, and there are a whole lot of them, who write a really long backstory, right? That's really involved.
And it's often really, really good.
And it is. They wrote an amazing backstory. The problem is when they're confronted, instead of saying, hey, you have to respect me because of this, but you're acting like a 5-year-old. So how is somebody supposed to know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because it's in my backstory.
Yeah.
No, see, that doesn't work. You can't just tell someone that you're shrewd. You need to act shrewd.
Yeah. And also, don't if the first time, if you are the wall holder upper, and somebody finally comes to you and says, hey, what's going on? Don't do one of 2 reactions. Blow them off, or copy and paste the entire 14-page backstory.
Oh, God, yes.
Don't spill your guts to the first person that comes up.
No. It's something you really have to do. If you want to evolve as a character, you really need to just, open up and just talk to people. Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to do it. I mean, I'll do Sibh'Bae or Sibh'Bae's character, Trithalis. I'm never going to get it right. I'll call him Trath. Trath and Voli. She slowly started opening up to him. I mean, he didn't know she was adopted, but over time, with them talking, he's learned she was adopted by an Altamiri. And, she's not been brought up as a normal orc. So you have to, you can write all that backstory you want, but like you said, if you don't actually RP it with people, then they're never going to know it.
Nope. And that's like with Cial, I did the same thing in the sense that when I first started playing Cial, one of the funniest things that we did initially was after her initial contact with Caves, she showed up to her interview to join Alanu with Caves and Typhon without anything but a top on. She just had a top thing of armor, they kind of hang down to cover all the
This isn't the 80s. Yeah. You're not going to get a hit like that yet.
Yeah. So that's all she had on. And she showed up with her weapons and everything. And Caves was like, where are your pants? She was like, what? Pants. Pants is what? And he was like, oh my God. Basically, it was just like, and Typhon in here. And they finally explained, well, then they said, meet us at Riften. So she had come to Riften after she completed her job. And she walked in with, wait for it, out pants. Mm-hmm. And he had pants for her. And she was like, what am I supposed to do with these? Put them on here. So she stripped off of her top and put her pants.
Yeah. Well,
It
and
was
that makes sense for,
fantastic, and
you
it
know,
was a lot of yeah.
she was like that, what was, that girl that was that wolf girl, you know, that was found
Yeah.
out in the woods, that was raised herself practically. She had no
Yeah.
concept of, you know, modern
No.
society.
No, but people don't know that unless
Right.
you
But
RP
you,
it out.
right. And she knew like 3 words of Out Mary, so or whatever, or Cyrodiilly or whatever it's called. That's their common tongue. She didn't know much of it, so she was very hard to listen to and hard to talk to. And people were actually Osili very rude to me because y'all didn't make any sense. They were like, "You need to make her easy to understand." No, this is part of who she is. She's learning.
Yeah.
If you don't like the way she talks, teach her.
Yeah. Yep. And then the next part basically says that, but the very last paragraph. So, and I completely agree with this. This goes to what we had just kind of said. So display your talents, your traits, your weaknesses, and your connections. Take every
Display,
opportunity to show and not tell the other people at the table what your character is about.
Yes. God, don't tell people you're scary.
Right.
Yeah.
You
it.
have to show it. You have to
And
play that. And you have to give it time.
Yeah,
to
you
sink in.
can't do it in one RP session. I'm sorry.
Right.
You have to.
You just can't. It takes time, months sometimes, to build
Right.
a character.
Now,
I mean, you
if
don't
you-
see
if
the
you're starting
process
out
his
at the
evil.
beginning of a game, like if a game just launched and you're with your group of friends and the character's supposedly already established, you know, like that's probably one of the only times you could probably get away with it. And even then, only among your group of friends.
Right, because they can agree.
Right,
like
you
we
all
did.
agreed kind of beforehand.
We
but
agreed beforehand that Nex and
Yeah.
Kia knew each other.
That's
And
literally like
so-
a 1 month span at the beginning of a new game. So it's very,
Right.
very rare that happens.
Yeah.
Also,
We entered the game with what? 9 people really that
something
knew
like
each other.
Yeah.
And we just kind of agreed initially that we had certain connections, and then we just went forward.
Yeah,
and it was
see, and
fantastic.
I wasn't there with that because I was in that
No, you came in later.
shitty Shadow Slayers guild, and we had done the same thing. It just turned out to be ran by a sex fiend. Also, real quick, Google Around Radio appreciates you for the hosting, auto host thing. Definitely return the favor for that.
What?
Oh, they're hosting our stream as well.
Oh, nice.
Google,
Oh, cool.
Google Go Around. It's another podcast that's for Final Fantasy 14. They're actually pretty cool folks.
Thank
Oh,
you.
nice.
Well, thank you.
So number 3, don't. Oh my God! If I had a nickel,
Throat.
not just for that, but for this one as well, and also for my flubs. I can almost do a old flubs of the week bit someone else did on radio. Don't try to stop things.
No, please stop doing
Negating
that.
another
Yes.
player's actions is fairly useless play. It takes 2 possible story-changing elements and whacks them against each other so hard that neither of them works. For example, your fighter wants to punch some jerk, and your monk's against it, so he grabs the fighter's hand. In game terms, nothing just happened. All you've done
Yeah.
is waste time, and you don't have infinite supplies of that.
Well, I don't necessarily. There are times and
Right.
places where that works.
It
It's not a
can.
guarantee.
But even still, there's a lot of times where it's just like, dude, you should have just let him, you take the let's see,
Well,
see how
yeah.
it plays out. And
If
yes, there
your
are
character
times.
always stops someone from touching them or always manages to not being hit, then yes, that's
we
ridiculous.
joke about in the service because they're servants. They're really good about the attempt and try. I don't know how they've managed to just build this into the DNA of a guild, unlike even any guild we've even been a part of. Chess, like, I mean, it's just everything is an attempt. Like, I mean, it's like attempts to put their hand on the shoulder, and I teased somebody once. I was like, it cracks me up when you guys attempt that stuff because to me, I mean, short of me being like, suddenly dodges quickly out of the way so that you don't gently touch my shoulder and reassure me. Who can stop somebody from touching their shoulder with, just
From behind, I mean,
in day-to-day life, and not in an angry, like, stabby way, just like, hey, how's it going, buddy? Patting them on the back, So attempts like that, just, they crack me up because it's not really an attempt. It's like, if somebody attempts that, it for me, it landed, I guess.
Can I add something right there?
Mhm.
On this subject, you can always roll too. And as I I found, because I'm learning to do the sparring with rolls, and I'm horrible at it right now, but Caves is teaching me, one of our friends in ESO. And I think it was Jazz was at the sparring match between me and Trath, and she said, like how much you roll. Like if you roll a 20-sided dice and you roll, say, a 5, maybe not stop the punch, but kind of do something in your role play to like knock it off course,
Yes.
or maybe,
if it's really far apart, then it's
Yeah.
stop. But if it's close together, then it gives more of an idea that maybe you managed to bat his hand away before he hit you,
Yeah,
or
but-
he does connect, but it only glances.
Right. I always do
But
the,
yeah.
the higher or lower the number is, the better or worse that it will succeed or fail. The stronger it will happen.
Don't try to stop it, but just, maybe roll on it and just
Mhm.
see, okay, if you don't want to get hit, so, like Jazz said, it kind of glances off, you kind of
Right.
shove, or you manage to dodge the punch just barely.
You don't get the full brunt of it.
Yeah.
You get it. Yeah.
But, it's a good thing to keep in mind.
Yeah. Well,
I've had to learn to roll on a lot of stuff because I,
just to help you make the choice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
stay
works
honest.
for Jazz. Yeah.
It is. That's what works for
And
me.
see, and I'm the opposite. I very rarely roll. Because I know I just don't do it. I kind of know. I try to be like the fight I had with Kishmis. Tarvala came out of that with a cut on each cheek and one across her belly. And one of the cuts was he was swiping at her face, and he used the flat of his blade. So her seeing,
And that's not her butt cheeks.
right, her actual cheek, her pretty face.
I had to put that in there.
But she saw the flat of the blade coming, and so she let it hit, because the worst it could do is, and it did, it the brunt of being hit by the flat of a metal blade, it split the skin open, because that's what happens when you get blunt force trauma. It didn't cut it, but it did split it. If it had cut it, it basically cut half her face off. But so she, because they were sparring, she went ahead and let it happen, and then used that to let her spin away a little bit, and she got a stronger hit on him by taking a weaker hit. And when it comes to rolls, him and I do free form, so there's no rolls involved. We know each other well enough that we just go with it, and our characters always take damage because they're brutal. But if for something like that would have been like if he had swung, if I had rolled it, that would have been like a 10 or a 9 or an 11. He still takes the hit, but it's not nearly as bad as it could have been. It didn't ring her bell or anything like that.
And like with Sial in the bar, one of the characters that she used to kind of hate and enjoy hating and tormenting him horribly, she was always picking on him because he was fun to pick on. He would pat her on her head. He patted everybody if they were shorter. Now, he asked me, I'll give him credit. He sent me a tell, and he was like, is it okay if he pats her on the head? And I said, as long as it's okay for her to react. He said, oh, sure, go for it. So when he patted her on the head, because she's an assassin and she's very quick, she reached up and she grabbed his fingers and bent them back all the way to the wrist. And then when he went down, she was like, do I look like a dog? Don't say yes. And then he yanked his hand away at that point, and he was like, God, sensitive much? She was like, don't touch me. And but it was, I let it happen in the sense that, I don't mind. I appreciated that he asked, but I didn't roll for that. I just went with, I knew Sial. But that's why I don't necessarily agree with the don't stop things, because stopping something to a point is okay. But like, Sial got into a fight with this guy, and everything she did was just glanced away.
Yeah, and after that's no fun.
No. And I sent him a tell him, like, look, dude, what are you doing? He goes, well, he's in armor. That wouldn't have hurt him. I said, I have news for you. As someone who's fought for a long time, if somebody punches the side of your knee, I don't care if you're in armor or not, that's going to hurt, and you're going to be screwed if they did it hard enough.
And they might break a couple fingers, but
But Jazz.
What?
What if I have a metal knee?
Well, that's true, but there's no protection from the side.
But metal knee.
So what?
Welcome, Kishmas.
Hey, Kishmas. But yeah, that was my point to him. And so we ended up rolling at that point because he was like, well, let's just roll so that there's no debate. And I said, that's fine.
Mhm.
So we switched to rolling at that point.
Right.
But he did not know enough about the mechanics of fighting to understand that with
Or
Cial on
apparently
her...
joints and ligaments.
Well, yes. So
Anatomy.
Cial was on her back and she kicked the side of his knee with the heel of her foot and
Yeah.
hard. That would have at least taken him down.
Yeah, armor or not, yeah, you're gonna
Now,
twist away.
the armor may have protected it from breaking, but it certainly would have hurt. And that was the only thing I was going for.
Yeah.
And I won the roll when we did it again. And he was like, okay, yeah, so he's in trouble. And he was. And then she stabbed him in the neck, and that was the end of that. So,
Just finished him off.
well, she didn't kill him, but she wounded him pretty bad. And then he said, give, and they stopped. So
Yeah.
it was a good fight. I do enjoy sparring in bars and stuff. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it
when
can
people
be,
are
but you
nice.
just have to, but what this thing is, just don't try to, everything that happens, if somebody wants to try something new, like Kishmish's thing, like Kishmish, what you did with your purity spell.
Yeah.
I mean, Tarvala, of course, she's saying she would have, if she had known that, she would have stopped you. But we're on rule number 3 here is don't try to stop things from happening. But that happening was a good thing because of how much role play it happened, even if it was a bad thing.
And I think this rule also comes into place when somebody tries to solve everything.
Right. Which, of course,
it's kind of what he's talking about, I think.
Because it comes to a point, I mean, if you're DMing an event, or if you're in an event, and you're like me, you're a high ordinator, and you have a lot of other ordinators in the event, and you're being the most proactive, and the other people aren't, you gotta think, well, maybe I should let the lower ranks do something more than I do. But there is instances where everyone, ordinators are very shy about it. Like, they're gonna do something
but you
wrong.
gave them the chance. I'm just saying, the person that has to charge in and solve everything and win the day every single time.
Right, try to cut it off at the pass before
Right, because they want to solve it, and they want to be the person that solves it, and it's like, dude, let other people solve it too.
Right.
Give it a minute.
Yeah.
And actually, I like what you bring up, Kishmis. If you're an officer and stuff, clearly, as the character, you're supposed to be in charge and stuff like that.
Right.
But you can always pass it off, too, as that character that you're, especially like you are, that you're there to help train other people. So even though maybe you have it figured out, you'd be like, all right, well, let's see how long it takes them. And then, you can discuss it after the fact. But you don't need to stop.
I just don't like it when
it.
I'm not leading an event, but I'm in the event, being the operational leader or operations leader. I don't like it when I'm, trying to solve the puzzle. I stop myself. All right, you do this, do this, and they just do nothing.
Right.
I mean, at that point, I have to ask myself, well, do I want to stall the event because everyone's being shy about it, or should I just do this on my own because these guys aren't?
At that point, you have to, unless you want it to stop. If you want it to stop, then that's fine. But if you're one of the things is Vodka that I always ran into is I would design. Because when you're a guildie, you're kind of the DM. So you create these things that are going to happen with an idea of how long it's going to take. And then somebody waltzes in and solves it immediately. Or the other case, refuses to do anything. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Then what do?
Well, I know, I was impressed. Okay. I don't get a lot of servant RP. Because I've started another story in the other guild. But I went on one of the missions that was ran by one of the ordinators. I think Neville is.
Was it the weird werewolf guy thing?
Yeah.
That one, yeah.
You and Nathalo were both there, and you're high ordinators, but he was actually leading the event, which I thought was a lot of fun, and I thought that's really cool because neither one of you even tried to take control of it. You let him do it all, but you guys participated.
You were there as backup if he fucked that all up so bad. Yeah, that's recovering.
That's why I actually talked to him before the event. If Neville begins to slip up and you want me to take the lead as the mission leader, I can do that for you.
Yeah, but
just in case he stumps himself, because I've definitely stumped myself on my own event.
Yeah,
you write yourself
which
means
it was neat that you guys allowed that. You didn't have to take the lead. You let other people do it, even though you guys are the leaders.
Right.
So I liked that.
I mean, that's the way the command structure works in the ordinations. I mean, if you have a mission that you were assigned to you and you're going to go onto like a raid on a Daedric den, that's your mission. You're the operation leader.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second in command is who you choose. And it can be anyone.
Yeah.
And if you don't choose one, by default, it's the highest ranked ordinator, which would be a high ordinator of war.
Right.
Yeah, but
So-
like I said, you guys were both there, and neither one of you guys tried to take control, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I just was impressed with that, because most times, if you have somebody in there, or most times I've ever done anything like that, whoever's the leader of the guild is like, okay, this is how we're going to do it.
Right. And
They don't
Right.
let the others have
the worst thing that can happen, and this is why if I run an event, my character is not participating in that event, because when you have both and this seems to be my experience, and it happens basically, it's always happens. It's happened with me, which is why I now bow out, that if you are both running and DMing the event and your character is there, it's very hard for you as your character, and you of course knowing it, not to be able to solve it. You know, you basically have to make your character look like a complete moron, or, you know, that's why it's just easier to remove it. And that way you can also concentrate purely on DMing the event and making sure everyone has nobody gets missed, everybody has the best time possible, and that you don't end up accidentally making yourself the center of attention.
There was I forget what event it was. It was one of Sibh'Bae's events, like a year ago. It was, we went to some town to solve like weird taint or whatever. And, you know, not everyone was participating. They were just kind of hanging back. So I just started pulling individual people aside, you know, saying, hey, you do this, just so they can get, you know, used to participating, you know, oh, I'm going to search these cupboards and this library. So the DM, the dungeon master, can, you know, say, oh, you found this or this or this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think participation's a big thing, and if you don't participate in the event, this is weird.
Which goes into number 4, take full control of your character.
Yes.
My character wouldn't do that isn't a boring excuse. A massive no to the game's story on a fundamental level. It's a point-blank refusal to participate. Instead of being bound by preconceived notions of what your character would and would not do, embrace complications and do it, but try to work out why. Why is your rogue doing a mission for the church? Why does he have ulterior motives? Is it out of a sense of companionship for the rest of the party? Characters in unfortunate circumstances are meat and drink of drama, and of good roleplay drama.
Classic tavern RP.
Right. So, you know, it's you and this kind of goes back into, what was that, the second one of you know, if you don't say it, it doesn't exist. Like, if you don't type it out, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't exist. So went too far, there we go. And the other part of this is, if you keep finding yourself having to explain your actions, oh my God, please don't, or not wanting to go along with your group
I was just skimming through.
Yeah, go ahead.
Skimming through number 4. Yeah.
Yeah, we're on
the quotation, my character wouldn't do that. Well, that's a very vague statement. I mean,
it's just a poor excuse for you know, stuff like that. And given, you know, when you're, like we've said earlier, this is actually for D&D, but it works in all role play. You know, like my character, you know, and maybe your character wouldn't do that, but you know what? You don't have to say your character wouldn't do that out of character.
I also think they need to rephrase that quote, because it seems like my character wouldn't do that. Like, I mean, yes, it would. I mean,
depending on
God, hold on.
Circumstances, there's no telling what your character can do.
I think that people say that because they don't want to participate,
right,
and it's an easy excuse. But, I mean, just because your character wouldn't, like, my character would kill someone. So there's not a whole lot Cial would do.
You can't do a lot with that unless you're killing a red shirt, or, you know.
Maybe she would be like, I don't kill children or something
right,
like that. And then
that'd be the only thing.
You can try to kill somebody, but...
I mean, because Cial would, like, for example, in a where there were kids, she snuck around the back while the rest of, I was in another guild for a little while, they were attacking some children, and she snuck around the back, and she started looping the kids out. So the rest of the guild didn't see her doing this, but one of the other guild leaders was with me when we were doing this, and he was laughing because he was like, this is awesome because nobody knows Cial is doing this. They think she's this big badass, and here she is sneaking these kids off going, shh, there's the door, go, 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 and getting the kids out so they wouldn't get killed. But Cial comes off as this rawr, but she won't kill kids. But I didn't say I can't participate in this roleplay event because Cial would not kill children. No,
Right.
She was like, they were like, you go over there and you start picking them off. She was like, okay. And then she went over there and just started sneaking them out.
Right. Yeah. I actually like this, the quotation thing here. Do you remember that great story about the Hobbit who told Gandalf to fuck off and sat at home picking his hairy toes all day while his entire village was swallowed by the armies of darkness? No. Nobody. No, you bloody don't. So put on your backpack and get out there, Frodo. That's right. You got to take control. And if you keep finding yourself having to explain your actions or not wanting to go along with group decisions because your character's motives, well, sweetheart, maybe your character's motives are wrong. They're not written in stone. The group's a thing, not your snowflake character. And if you're good for you for using Snowflake 5 years before that became popular. And if you're not working, drop them off at the next village and maybe try something more open to new ideas. Maybe work the group to build the character that fits. Your character is part of a story. This is not your character's story.
This was something I harped on a lot in our guild in CQ, was that people would try to join a guild full of vampires, werewolves, and demons. They were a paladin.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, I've come here to join your guild, and I just want you to know that I love things.
I love all things, including abominations in the face of God.
Yeah, and she's sitting here with her legs crossed, and she's just listening patiently. And then she was like, I don't think this is going to work out. And they were very angry. Celie as well as I, Celie.
It's you.
Yeah, and I was like, look at it this way, hun. You knew what we were when you applied. Do you really think that a bunch of vampires, werewolves, and demons in this lore, divine is like the worst possible thing that can happen to them?
Yeah, just your mere touch is fatal.
Yeah, your touch is going to burn Vodka. Because he was like, was that why she didn't touch him? Well, yeah. He's like radiating
goodness,
golden light. There's no way he could touch her. She'd burn. So she was just like, I don't think this is going to work. And he was like, well, better luck, and tried to shake her hand. She was like, that's okay. There's the door right over there. Yeah. And he left. And he didn't understand. And he was like, so you don't like me? And it's like, no, your character isn't going to fit here. Make a character that's at least neutral and try again.
Right. It'd be like someone joining the servants of the tribunal from Awanu, which are, it's a high elf or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Well, it was like, you remember when we introduced our characters to your guild?
Exactly.
When we came with Wolf,
it didn't work out well.
It didn't work out well. And I was, Cial, when they got there and Cial saw the house markings, she knew exactly when she saw the ordinators what was going to happen. And you saw her when she was reacting to that. She was like, oh, this is can we leave now? We need to leave now. Is somebody going to listen? We need to leave now. She was freaking out because she was afraid they were just going to run them through.
Yeah, just power and numbers. They definitely had them outmatched.
And she's like, and I had her in the back going, counts the ordinators one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And everyone knows.
And I remember that too because they were just pouring out of the Abbey at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Well. More and more and more. And
she leaned over and whispered to Typhon, we need to leave now. So it was... And some of the members of the party were a little upset because they were dismissed.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They're
going to be. She was just like,
yeah.
When they walked out, she was like, what were you thinking? She was like, little warning next time would be great.
Yeah, but to go along with the taking control of your character, that part where it says, now again, like this was for tabletop, but this part drives me crazy in RPMMOs. If you find yourself explaining your actions, like if there's people that we've role played with, I still think there's a few
My
of them
eyes
actually
just
that I
rolled back
know.
in my head. But
that,
yes.
that for every one sentence in character, there's
Every
a paragraph
single one.
OOC explaining every single detail.
Yes,
Like,
please stop doing that. Oh my God.
This just goes back to explain it in character. Like, don't tell, show. Don't, it's don't do show and tell. It's just show. Show, no tell. Let's do show, no tell. You just show what your character does.
Well, I want
and
you to
let people
understand
figure
so
it
that
out.
you will understand why they don't want to do this. And it's like, well, I don't care.
Yeah, we figured it out when you said it in character, sweetie. We don't need you. Listen, puddin'.
They
Step
just
away
keep
from the
going.
keyboard.
I really thought a couple of times Sanis was just going to put his head.
It's one of those pet peeves of mine. Like, I don't mind every now and then if it's a little vague or something like that, or if it's a joke, But when it's literally that every action has to be explained out of character, as if, and the reason it's so bad is it's actually insulting to the people you're being with, because it's like, well, they're too stupid to figure out my deep and ongoing motivations. Well, no, actually, your motivations are so shallow they don't even qualify as a kiddie pool at your nearest water park. You're fucking shallow. You're like
and trust me,
a
if you
puddle
use
in the
that,
street.
if you use that kind of attitude, they will realize it, and they will not RP with you anymore.
Right. Which I'm perfectly okay with, because then I don't need the paragraph-long OOC explanation, and I go away happy.
You know what I love? 2 paragraphs of how your character's looking at someone.
Yeah, I was dealing with that last night.
Ooh, mwah! I love it. Actually, I loathe it.
I stare deeply into Roger's eyes from across the room.
My
14
amber
paragraphs
orbs.
later,
Yeah.
and that's why I ignore him. Why did you type all that?
Yeah.
I'm going to kill you, your family, and your firstborn child.
Now, see, I loved it when Roger and Sully interacted.
Oh, yeah, the other night.
Fantastic.
That was pretty funny.
That was great, because she just watched him, and he just got right in her face. That was so awesome.
Right, which is what his character does.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I loved it.
What are you looking at?
And
Scum.
Yeah.
Could you say that like Jar Jar Binks, please?
Yeah, we were told earlier by, was it
that guy Laza?
That guy Laza, that I had done a voice when I was talking about our fight. I had done a Roger voice, and it was very like this, very deep, very serious. And he said, "No, Roger talk like this.
Roger
You're gonna get a beating. It's gonna be a bomb bad." So apparently you talk like Jar Jar. Is that true?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm gonna have to.
How dare you ask her? How rude.
How rude. We're gonna have to.
Picture I put up too. That was so
How
funny.
rude.
Thank
How
you.
rude.
I actually put that up.
Roger likes to walk into the kitchen, and when he sees his boys, he's like, "Hello, burger."
Boy, Misa, okay, da. Okay, we're gonna stop that. All right, let's hit number.
I can't do that.
No, let's hit number 5. Now this one actually still works. Don't harm other players. Oh ho! Here's a jolly thief that nicks stuff from other party members, and their sleight of hand roll is so high no one will ever notice. Gosh, what a jape! Fuck that guy. No one likes that guy. Okay, so I get it. This really doesn't work because a lot of for one, you can't do that stuff in RP. But one thing I will say, with the fuck that guy, no one likes that guy. Now the reason I say that this still kind of works is not so much in character, but for us, it's out of character. Don't harm other players out of character, because you don't like someone. Now you can warn people like, hey, this is my interaction with them, but we all only have one reputation in the game. And and personally, I don't listen to anybody. Like, I know there's plenty of players that people have a hard time with. Jazz, you were one of them. You got totally wrecked because of your reputation.
Yes.
And you're fine. I mean, clearly I have no problem with you. I mean,
I do.
I mean, other than, you're just you. it's like, and you're like all like, oh, look at me, I'm really good at things,
I got no problem with nobody.
No, but and there are people that I have issues with that I don't, but the difference is I don't go having to slander them and talk about their back and try to ruin their reputation because frankly, they don't need my help. They do a better job than I'll ever be able to do. So, not harming other players, you just don't do that. You don't need to go after people. Now, if something is horrible and somebody did something like that one guy I've talked about from Shadow Slayers that was cheating on his family and that guy I warned people about him. Like, listen, this guy is not a good guy. You need to watch out with him. I'm just you can do all you want with him, but I'm telling you, just keep an eye on him because he is super creepy and he is not he's not a decent person. Not anything about the character, if for me character interactions are that I don't care. The stuff right now with was it Jay the Exile and his Sartha character and what we play on ESO. I know a lot of people are ticked at the character and the player, but the thing is they can only be ticked at the character. You gotta, what happens and stuff like that. Yes, there may be other stuff behind there, but you have, it's a mixing thing. You can't try to harm you can do all you want to harm the character's reputation if they're doing horrible stuff. But, you still got to realize most
what
everybody
happens
behind
in
the keyboard,
roleplay stays in roleplay.
Right. And we're all the same. We're all nerds.
It's happened to me.
Yeah.
It's happened to me, like, Regier is very, he can be very abrasive.
Right. Yeah.
And when you talk to Regier and you don't know him, it's easy to just get pissed off at him.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I've had people message me like, that was pretty rude of him. I'm like, well, I'm sorry? What do you want me to do? You want me to give you your beady cheeks and be like, oh, you're such a sweetheart, aren't you?
Here's your juice box.
Like, it's happened so many times where to the point where someone messaged me about that. I'm like, you know what? Fuck off. If you're just going to assume that I'm just like Regier, then I'm going to act like Regier to you.
Right, yeah.
Eventually they'll apologize and then everything will be fine, but it still pisses me off.
That's a form of mixing. I mean, it really is.
That's mixing.
Yeah,
right there,
and I had to deal with that with Vodka a lot because people assumed that I was as bitchy as she was. And it just...
You're not?
Well,
I've known you for 12 years. Are you sure? See, I'm trying to kill her by making her choke to death. Long distance
You are trying
murder.
to kill me. Stop it.
Long distance murder. They can't trace it back to me. Except for, the, I guess, witnesses.
Recordings.
Audio witnesses.
Yeah. But I think that's the hardest thing for me to deal with when I'm playing a character that isn't nice. Is that people assume that means that I'm not nice.
Yeah, I'm a fucking cool guy. Pretty awesome.
I enjoy... I'm
21,
nice.
Jazz.
And humble,
yes,
too.
You're 21. And I got to where I was really, I guess, in many ways, I'm wary of playing those kinds of characters anymore.
Because a lot of people really do have a hard time, and when that does happen, like I still see it on boards, and I don't know a lot of the people. I really have basically turned myself off from listening to other people's opinions on other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is just, it's like I've said before, it's just that, it's an opinion. Everyone's got, like an asshole, everyone has one. It doesn't really, doesn't make it stink any less. You may watch it every now and then, but it's still an opinion, and you're still
every now and then. How about every other day, please? How about every other day, please?
Every other day.
Let's go with every day. Can we go with every day?
I like how we went with every other day. Well, there's some days.
Some days I'm just like, no, my asshole's too clean.
Yeah. It whistles. But that's for entirely different reasons.
Oh, that's a different topic.
Let's get back on topic.
That'll be for our ERP topic.
Oh my.
So yeah, no, there's no reason to try to destroy someone's reputation. If they really are, like, there's plenty of people I know and I have known. I don't enjoy role playing with them. They drag down practically everybody around them, and you can be aware of it, but really, confronting them about it, for one, it only emboldens them. and it doesn't help anything, in all honesty. I mean, it might, for very rarely will it, because usually if it's got to that level, the person's so self-unaware, I guess is the word. It doesn't matter. They're not gonna do any introspection. They're not gonna be like, well, I guess I can kind of see where I went. No, I am always right, and these people are just against me. Come follow us. Let us attack them. Sound familiar, Jess?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Way too familiar.
All that jazz.
That's right. So let's move on to number 6. Know the system. Don't be a dick about it. And this one's a little iffy. It's kind of like knowing the lore and don't be a dick about it. Knowing how roleplay works. Don't be a dick about it. If you know the system,
that's important.
Yeah, if you know a system, you are easy to GM for, because you know the character's limitations. You can calculate the rough odds of a particular action needed or failing. Just like in real life, you can make prompt assessments of situations and act accordingly because you understand the rules of the world.
That was a cough.
Yeah, and of course, and just like in roleplay, new players, of course, get a free pass on this one, but if you don't take the effort to learn the rules, obviously, you're not going to be keen to stick around with the hobby.
Yeah, exactly. And that's anytime you have a game, I expect people to at least make an attempt to learn the lore, at least somewhat. And like in EQ, in Silver Circle, we had vampires, werewolves, demons. And EQ's lore only covered like 75% of it. So there was a great, 25% is a large amount of wiggle room.
And they pulled in everything from Bram Stoker to, just...
Yeah, and so I had to be
I'm pretty sure
the
a few
person.
of them even sparkled in the dark.
Yes,
we
actually had a sparkling
No!
We had a sparkling vampire. Several, actually. We even had a vampire that was older than the vampire.
Maybe, hopefully it actually sparks.
Yeah, like when you put flame to him.
Yeah.
So
Look at my glitter.
It was one of those things where, and I had to explain this to people over and over and over again because they were like, why do you get to make the rules? Well, I'm the guild leader. So,
right. And with the one guy that didn't know the lore, which is about knowing the system, you also have to know the lore. The guy that was a 3,000-year-old vampire when they'd only been around for 2,000?
2,000 years.
Can't
the
remember.
very oldest vampires were 2,000 years old, and most of them
Mistmore.
Was Mayong and his immediate family.
Right,
and
they were the
playing first. Mayong or his immediate family would be really pushing the lore a bit. So
right, which goes into playing main characters in a game, which also, don't do that.
Right. So 1,800 to 2,000 years was really the max that anyone could be as a vampire. You can't have been a vampire for more than probably 1,500 years. Now,
what about
Hilder? Go ahead.
What about 10,000-year-old ancient vampires that turn into these big rat things and they fly and they're like, I can destroy everything with a touch of my finger.
We probably had one of those, but he didn't make it past the... Yeah. This guy that was that old, we had Tilder, and he was our oldest vampire, and he was actually 2,500 or 2,600 years old. But he was turned when he was 600. So that made sense because he was one of the first vampires. Right. He was one of the first Teardal vampires.
Yeah, he wasn't an old vampire. He was 6,000 years old as a regular person, or 600 years old as a regular person, and then the rest of it was vampire.
He was turned when he was 600 and something, and so he was already an older person and in Dark Elf lore when he became a vampire. So, and he was one of the original Teardal. So he had, because he played EQ1, he knew all the lore and had played the character in EQ1, and then he came to EQ and brought that character.
In EQ, the dwarves, the dark elves and elves live a lot longer than, say, in ESO and some other games.
They live anywhere from 800 to 1,100. That's really old. Right. So it was acceptable for him, and they felt that I was, because he was my friend, that I was making excuses for him, and I couldn't get them to understand.
Math.
Math.
Once again, math, you son of a bitch.
And it was just, but we had people who came into the game saying that they were X, Y, and Z, like, I'm a vampire, but I can make babies because this god said that I could. So I turned out of being a vampire for this little bit of time so I could get pregnant and have the baby, and then I turned back into a vampire because the god said I could.
Right. And so
Pregnate?
Pregnate.
Pregnate, shut up.
So the next part on this here, for the love of God, also, and this is going to go into our next episode.
Wait. Before we move on, okay, I don't know how many people are actually going to look at this list, but the picture on 6 is just
disturbing.
Yeah.
I like that the girl with the glasses in the back that's just looking at it
She's just like,
Yo, what kind of... That's like... You know that's the mastermind behind the plan.
hold on, let's see here.
It is
I
creepy.
meant to do this earlier, and I totally forgot for anybody listening. There we go.
Oh my
I just linked
gosh.
it. But the chick in the glasses, she looks like she's just out of her college dorm. She's like, you know what? I'm just happy to be out here today.
I just got off the desk job.
Right.
I looked at that picture and I was like, oh my
She just
God, I had
looks
to
so
stop
smug as they're putting this stake into this hot vampire chick with
pitchfork
like a
in the
pitchfork in
arm.
her arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I was like, holy crap. Okay, we got to comment on this.
That
Okay,
one
no.
hand in the bottom right is looking very, very creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're gonna have
It's like,
another one.
ooh, that's a nice cold thigh you got there.
Yeah. Oh my.
It's pretty bad. Yes.
Okay.
Again,
I
another
just-
topic.
Right.
I had to throw that in there because it was bothering me.
But
Yes.
and the other part of this was don't rules lawyer, which it's gonna go in our next episode, which is don't be a lore Nazi.
Yeah,
Don't do
because that was actually my point to that whole
Mhm.
tangent, was that I had to be able to say, this is the lore, this is our wiggle room, this is where we can fit things in,
Yeah.
and not be a lore Nazi about it and say, if you don't fit exactly, because that's no fun for anybody. And if somebody came to me with something that I could chisel away at and make fit, then we would talk, and I'd say, okay, here's what the lore says, here's what you say, this doesn't work. Can we change this little bit and then make it work? And they're like, usually 99% of the time, they were like, oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so they would just do it. So that's nice.
Yeah, and in this, I'm gonna skip a little over this one, but we won't go too much further because we're gonna go in depth on this one. But and then of course it says if you're arguing over a rule for more than 20 seconds, you're a rules lawyer. And in MMOs, when you're arguing over stuff like that, it takes a hell of a lot more time than 20 seconds. You're looking at 10 or 15 minutes because
you're
it's all
typing.
type. And
I remember.
and there's not a rule book to go to.
Nope.
I remember there used to be discussions in the Discord over lore for 4 hours of just straight lore Naziing. Then all of a sudden they talk about, well, you're prefacing something that I didn't say, and then you're wrong, and then they just start going into ethics about arguing. I'm like, well, that's not about lore anymore.
Right,
I'm like,
you're
what
not-
the
you're
fuck
just-
are you doing?
You're just arguing
I loved
semantics.
watching the lore debate, but then you just turned it into like a fucking mud ball
Right.
slinging contest.
So okay, we'll hit number 7 here. And I'm guilty of this one at times. Give the game your attention. If you can't give your full attention, step away from the table, or in this case, the role play. Hey,
Now, I disagree with that.
hold on. Hey, what's that you're playing on your phone there? Oh, is it Candy Crush Saga? Which, by the way, you could tell this was in 2013. Candy Crush, really.
Yeah.
That's funny. All these dice and character sheets have been impressing me. Are the playing of Dungeons and fucking Dragons? I must be terribly mistaken. Now, I understand where you're going with this, Jazz. But there's times that somebody is doing it.
Oh
And-
no, I agree. I think there are
and
people
that's
who
the
need to
problem.
pay attention. I have things on my phone, or I'm tabbed out to do something else because people take. And
Forever.
I'm
right.
horrible
And with you,
because.
I would never notice it, but there are people, and there's
But people who type 3 words a minute should not be doing anything else but watching it.
Okay, I will say Ashton is guilty of this
oh yeah,
because he got the second monitor,
actually,
and it would drive me nuts whenever he would tap out and be looking at something when we're role playing, and I'm like, I type out my sentence and I'm waiting.
right. But
and
that
I'm
was
waiting,
before I got
and
my
I'm
second
waiting,
monitor,
and I'm
and
waiting,
that was really
and
bad.
I'm
With the
waiting
second
for
monitor,
more,
I can see both of them.
and I'm still waiting.
I have to have multiple things going on for my mind to be focused. So I can do this. I can read a class I'm in, and I can also, check my phone, and I'm still paying attention.
Right.
Because this is how
Yes.
my brain. This is how my
it's-
brain works.
A lot
But
of it
a lot
is-
of people can't though, and they still
Right.
try.
yeah.
My husband is someone who he has ADD, and he's adult ADD, but he tells himself that he can multitask. But what he actually ends up doing is running in a circle and getting nothing done because he distracts himself. So when he's role-playing, this is a man who types 130 words a minute, and he types slower than I do.
Because he's well, and
Because he's
like
distracted.
things like 2 monitors that helps because
Yes, it does.
when I
He
was
has to
tabbing
read,
out, I
so.
couldn't still see what was going on, but now I have the second monitor because of the show here, and so does Sib now, and she does the exact same thing, so she can't complain. But when you're able to see, but that's the thing, if you've got a dual monitor set up, or if you're like say looking on your phone, as long as you've got the game set up there and you're
Yes.
still able to see what, especially, obviously if it's tavern role play, put the fucking second screen away. If you're not paying attention, or if you're in a conversation, you need to be paying attention because it's too
Yeah.
easy and too fast to miss stuff. If it's a one-on-one thing, or there's only like 2 or 3 of you, all right, which I guess would be one-on-one, and it's just in another way, with another person. Sorry. That's a little different. You can actually see, it's not scrolling up constantly if you've got that second screen. But even alt tabbing, man, you can't see when it comes up, and if you're already a slow typer and you're doing that, you're going to end up hurting yourself because people aren't.
You're gonna have a
I-
bad time.
Well, I even know, like, we in Discord, there's the voice chat now. And it is super hard for me to even be in voice chat whenever I'm actually RPing with people because it's hard to focus for me. If I'm hearing somebody chat in my ear and I'm trying to chat, type out and stuff in the game, and I'm like, I'm sucking at this. And then I start missing stuff, and then it's like, then I just feel bad, and I'm like, okay, I got to get out of voice chat.
Yeah, I can only concentrate on one or the other. And I understand.
The one
but
thing.
Alice says in the chat that as a DM, DM, it's different as an MMO to a tabletop. It is a little bit. I mean, clearly, it's if you're tabletop and you're on your phone, that's even more rude because you're literally
Somebody needs
there
to
in
slap
front
that
of
phone
people.
out of your hand.
Right.
Everyone can be staring at you for your turn.
Which is a good rule to have, by the way. Alice says she has a tabletop rule of no phones, which is, short of maybe
on
having
tabletop,
your
yes.
dice roller thing, maybe. But in MMOs, man, it's still it can be just as bad because you really, especially a lot of people think they're able to really do both, and they really can't.
They really, really can't.
And it
If
is
you don't type,
situational, but
you don't type 80 words a minute, stop it.
right.
Yeah.
Just
even
stop
when
it,
you're
because
paying
I swear to
attention,
God.
it still takes you 2 minutes to type out what you want to say.
So please
attention.
pay attention. Put down whatever else you're doing. Pay attention to the game. Because a lot of the people that are going, well, the scroll was moving too fast. You know what helps with that? Not doing anything
Reading
else
it.
in between.
Right.
You have to
Yeah.
read it. You have to stay and pay attention and pull up your screen so you can see all the chat and scroll back a little bit so you can control the scroll and read at your own speed, which is really easy, really helps a lot of people. But stop tabbing out and doing other things and then be mad when you miss half of the conversation and then be mad because people don't want to role play with you because you can't keep up.
Mhm.
Stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, I get it. I have
I think
kids.
that-
I know about being,
Yeah.
when you have kids and you're in the middle of role play and your kid says, Mommy, I cut my hand. Guess what? I'm going to miss role
Right.
play.
You just,
I get that.
Yep.
Right. That
But-
doesn't. I'm not counting that. I'm talking
Yeah.
about you're looking at the latest. I don't know. Like they said,
It's like
Like
looking
Candy
at
Crush.
Facebook. It's like looking at Facebook on your computer and then picking up your phone and checking Facebook. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, I would have to say what the fuck on that one. Why would you do that?
Because I've done that before and I've caught myself. I'm like, I'm
Why
dumb.
did I just? Kish,
Kishmas.
there. You may have a problem
I'm
with
glad you're
Facebook
21.
and social media.
I'm glad you're 21, Kishma.
Hey, when I'm home and I know no one's gonna call me, I put my phone in my bedroom.
There you go. So we'll go ahead and move on here to we're gonna really
This is going to run over tonight.
yeah
but
we're
that's
gonna run
okay.
over a little.
Yeah.
Well, we started a little late too. Actually, we started like
Yeah.
10 minutes late. Number 8, if you make someone uncomfortable, apologize and talk to them about it. I have a rule in my games, and that rule is nothing fucks anything else. Oh, boy, I wish we could do that rule. Simple, clean, elegant. I know he doesn't actually mean that, but No sexual contact. It's weird, especially, boy, it's a tabletop game. Boy, would that be awkward sitting there with your friends.
There are people that allow it.
Bam, bam. The table's just all of a sudden messed up. You're like, guys, stop.
But
Yeah, no, I've
Mom,
had
can you come
games
get me?
where they have that. They actually carry through
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's been really disturbing. In MMOs, of course, it's a little different, but
right, and and even this it says, but if I've even had someone negotiate time with a skin thief alien to reanimate a cat for the purpose of sexual pleasure as part of a heist. Boy, you really need to get some new friends. This guy does.
yeah.
But here's the crucial thing: is nothing fucked anything on screen. And if you're thinking, haha, it's okay then, but it's fisting all right. Then fuck off of my game, sunshine. But basically, and as it says here, and the point of this is, in situations like this one, we find ourselves on a weekly basis, in our case a daily one, it's easy to make people feel uncomfortable. Maybe it's as blatant as discussing dead babies or bestiality. Dead baby jokes are hilarious. How you guys know how to find a live baby in a pile of dead ones?
How?
Pitchfork.
Right. Good. I'm going to hell, but that's all right.
Yeah, you are. Maybe it's
I'll
something
see you there.
much more than I being rude or chatting with the main character. What's that?
Yeah. I'll see you there.
That's right. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be right next to you riding that flame train on the way down. But if this one is in RP and MMOs especially, and it's not just because, I'm gonna be honest, there's a few social justice warriors that role play and they drive me out of my fucking mind. They're the bane of my existence. That get they can make jokes about
Dunmer only guild.
Well, no, what was it that one thing they were making jokes about suicide, masturbation, and I make one joke about prison rape, and it's like, no.
Yeah. Autoerotic asphyxiation gone wrong, and
Right.
then bring that up.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah. So again, and I
mean, the event last night from when we were or Evu and Raj were teaching the Ordinators how to handle prisoners. I called that wholesome soap dropping RP, and no one complained about that.
Right, and it's literally the same thing. But that's the thing. If and there are times when it's not necessarily a sexual thing, or if you made somebody, maybe they got upset about something, they misread something even. It's okay. It's gonna happen. That doesn't mean that the person that upset you is the worst person ever.
Yeah.
People don't have to agree with each other. Jazz and I don't agree on a lot of things. And that's okay. I don't have to agree with everything Jazz likes, believes, or thinks in order for us to be best friends. I mean, it's just how it is. And I understand in a roleplay situation and in a guild, you do have to have some cohesion, and I know some people might go too far, and I'm not now one-on-one interactions might be a little different, but when you're talking to your guild or as a guild, a large guild event, obviously you don't want to if you're purposely trying to piss people off around you just because you think it's funny. I mean, it probably is. But it still doesn't make you a good person.
I mean, there are times.
There
are times. I'll admit, there are times when some people in the guilds I'm in, I type things out that I'm gonna say and I delete it. And sometimes I fear that I might press enter and I'm like, oh no.
Right? Yeah, because you're like, oh man, that would be. Maybe they even
That'd be so funny.
Even have it coming. But for the spirit of, online guild cohesion, sometimes you just have to edit yourself just a little bit. And I understand that. Like, the way I talk here is not how I would handle a lot of the people that, in the guilds that we're in. I would have to be more, more patient. Clearly, for just the sake of this, I got to be as blunt as possible just to make sure the point gets across and things like that. But
some people can't handle the truth.
It's also important that, as a guild leader, I had to learn how to do this, that apologizing because you upset someone with something that happened doesn't necessarily mean it's going to stop or change.
Right.
It's just and they need to understand that, because they'd be like, you were talking about eating a person, and we did these were monsters.
That was that cannibal thing or something or other, wasn't it?
Yeah, I forget exactly what happened. But they
cannibalism,
basically got
which is
really,
a huge
really
part
upset.
of EverQuest lore, by the way.
It is. It's a huge part of it on more
There's
than one.
a vendor that sells pickled people. Bomba.
Yes, pickled people, and they have
I love pickled
recipes.
people.
Recipes for stuffed halfling. This is
horn flying pickled people eater.
this is a thing, and so people were getting upset about some of the stuff that was happening in Guild. And I apologized, and I said, look, I understand that this upset you. I understand that. What I don't accept about what happened is that you pitched a fit, made a big scene, interrupted the role play, and then stormed off, left the guild, left the channel, and then wandered back the next day because you felt bad.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry you're upset, but this isn't going to change. Well, it should change. No. This is a dark role
The one
play
thing
game.
We don't change on the account of one person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I like what Alice says. Yes, you're absolutely right. There is a difference between I'm sorry for what I did and I'm sorry this upset you.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I would do.
Very rarely am I sorry for what I did. Because I know when I say things, I know when I joke with Jazz and Sib about being women and how awful that has to be.
70% of credit.
I know how horrible that is for me to even say that, especially in 2018 with the way things are right now. And that's exactly why I do it. Because one, I know it's horrible and that I shouldn't say it, and that's exactly why I say it. Also, because you're a horrible person for laughing at it, because I know you have. Because I've not got a single complaint from anybody ever for all my horrible male chauvinist jokes that I put out there to these two women, who I love both intensely, one a lot more than the other, but that's because we're legally bound by marriage.
And so,
yeah, and what?
I've seen the ritual papers.
You're not supposed to talk about that. It makes the contract binding. It burns.
Yeah, she made an excellent point, and that's something that is important for all role players to understand. If somebody's upset, it's okay to say you're sorry. I'm sorry you're upset. I'm sorry what I did upset you. But that's not the same thing as saying I'm sorry for what I did. Because my character did something that was in character, and that's not going to change.
Yeah,
but next time you're around, I'll warn you. How about that? And I'll say, okay, this is going to get a little weird. You might want to leave. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe your characters are just not going to, it's just not going to be a way to get along.
Right. Maybe they just can't be in the guild.
Wrong with Not everybody has to get along.
No.
Yeah.
It's okay.
People will be like, I just want you to know that I can't be in the guild. Okay. Well, I just want you to not be upset with me. I'm not upset.
No.
Well, I just want you to understand, dude, if you don't want to be in here, that's okay. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
You've got to be vocal. You've got to be vocal. You just leave without any context. It's going to make you look like an asshole.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one of the first things in our guild when you would come and apply, we had these books you could use in game that
books.
You could create books.
Yeah.
And
they were fun. It was neat.
Yeah.
For those that didn't play EQ2, they legitimately had in-game items like the book, like say the Kishmis in ESO. You know how you have those books that you're trying to put individually on the shelf.
Yeah.
Okay. Now imagine that's blank, and you can literally open it up and copy and paste or hand write anything you wanted into it. Save that, and anybody then that clicked on the book, it would pop up and read exactly what you put into it.
Yeah.
So do you guys still play EQ2?
No. That was an awesome feature. Unfortunately, they've completely fucked up the rest of the game.
Yeah. There's a lot of things about EQ2 that were great. There's decoration in the books and a lot of that stuff.
The bad part of it was
that doesn't make me happy inside.
The community sucked.
Yeah, but after a while, after
it just got toxic.
After 8 years,
we had a book. It was sitting at the front of our guild hall. So anybody that entered read the book. And the book said, the very first line is, this guild is not necessarily your cup of tea. And if not, that's okay.
And ironically, it was also next to the button, which is a house item that if you accidentally clicked on it, instantly killed you.
It did say, don't touch this. It said,
there was an item in the game, Kishmis, that literally it was a giant box with a gianter red button. And if you clicked use, it instantly killed you.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It blew you up.
For fun.
No, because it was fucking hysterical to watch people come in the guild and click it when they're new.
And everyone did.
I do it a lot.
I did it. There's times I'd walk in the guild, click, and then I'd respawn like right there in front of it. Click.
But it was what's the prankster god? It was for the prankster god
it was
stuff.
Bristlebane.
April Fools. It was the April Fools stuff that we would do every year.
Bristlebane.
Is that like actual
Bristlebane.
lore?
Bristlebane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
it was
actual
an
lore, so always like the guy puts something on.
Well,
then,
no,
like, hey, guys,
this was
touch this.
gnomes.
Oh,
Our gnomes did the clockwork stuff.
Yeah.
So the gnomes made this button, and the button killed you. And it was
that was so good.
my husband at the time, who was the guild commander, had it on his desk, and he brought it in when it first. Most of us didn't do a lot of the quests like that. He was a quest
Yeah,
fanatic.
I knew what it was the second I saw it. And I still pressed it.
And he put it on there, and he was like, he put it on his desk, and people would come in again. What's that button? Don't touch it. Well, I know that's what it says, but can I touch it? Sure. And they die. And he would I could hear him roaring from my office because he would literally almost fall out of his chair laughing. He loved it so much because people would always push it because it said, don't touch. It was fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move.
Yeah.
We got 3
We better
more
move
to go
forward.
here. Number 9. And I really, really like this one. And it's something I try to do. Be a storyteller.
Yes.
Put some effort in it, eh? Say some words, develop a character's voice, a stance, and our character's voice would be, the way they speak. A stance, describe your actions, work out a level of agency with the GM, or in this case, the people around you, so you can chip into wider descriptions or use assumptions to describe it and see if it sticks. A good GM should go with what you're saying anyway, unless it goes against their plan. So similar, basically... Be descriptive. I mean, we've hit this one before. Like, there was roleplay we did last night, just to use a quick example. And one of our high ordinators, Avul, told Mike Taravala to gapitate. Well, actually, it was you, wasn't it, Raj, playing that guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The terrible.
yeah.
I just remember the terrible.
Yeah. And
Eleanor the Terrible.
And there's 2 ways to go about that. I could have easily just said, pulls her sword and cuts his head off. Right? I mean, it gets the job done. Now, I don't know. That's boring. So I try to be a little bit more descriptive, especially when it doesn't hurt anything. It's just us around. So we're in a private house. So you can easily describe, pulling the sword and, the bright red metal of it, falls through the air, letting the weight of it, the razor sharp edge and the weight of the blade fall through, cutting through vertebrae, snapping and slicing through tendons and veins and muscle tissue, and, severing the head as it lands with a plop and rolls, sloppily and bloodily across the floor as a spray of blood shoots out of the arteries as the heart continues to pump. Now, which one of those 2 was a little bit more fun to read or listen to?
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't hurt.
A short one.
Can I go with number 2? I want to say number 2.
I'm going to take a number 1. No. Number
But at the same time, if you spend too much time, then it's boring.
Right.
And
But
Yeah.
That goes back to those 3 paragraph emojis.
Right. But,
And and the thing is, if they
But
would
that
just
took me
shorten
literally-
it, it'd be easier.
and for me, that literally took 10 seconds to write.
Yeah.
You have to find that happy medium.
Right.
You really do.
And I did
especially-
actually probably elaborate
Depends
a little
on
more here.
how good of a typer you are and things like that.
And how much you know about anatomy and things like that, at least in that case. But telling things, we're here in roleplay to tell a story. We're tell our characters stories, to interact, to create a story. Every one of us should be storytellers. We all should be telling our own story, interacting that story with other people, and a little description goes a long way. You can easily the joke is the /nod/shrugs, but even adding just a little, nods emphatically, or I sometimes with Tarvala I'll do that. She bobs her head in a nod because she's like, yeah, I agree with that. She's really she's bobbing her head a whole lot because that's
That was
just
funny.
she's kind of a bubbly person. So that's the kind of thing. It's okay to be descriptive, it just to tell. To tell the story of your character and to interact with people in a way that's also telling a story, and not every way of telling a story has to be fucking The Hobbit, where just getting through the first chapter, you've basically learned that the grass is green in the Shire after 25 pages. It doesn't have to be that detailed, but that's not what it is to tell a story. To tell a story is to constantly keep things progressing, to give enough detail on things of those that are around you that you can visualize things in your mind. And that's something I think, and it's easy. And I've done it. We've all done it. It's easy to get lazy about that, or especially, or I think we can all appreciate this, old folks, being tired.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Nobody likes you.
That's just because you're 21.
Hold on, my hips, my hip joint's out of place. Give me a second here. Oh, actually, hold on. Oh, there we go. Pop my back. Okay. Moving on. Does anybody have anything to say about that one? Is it pretty kind of self-evident?
There was a good comment in Discord.
What's that?
I'll let you read it.
Is it the raw? Oh, sorry, man. Rahanar?
Yeah.
Okay. Rahanar in the chat says, personally, when playing with other people, there was absolutely a happy medium between brevity and descriptiveness. Too short and you don't get engaged. Too long and you're RP-straining, which is definitely true. Yeah, and it's one of those things we've said, like if you're in a tavern and there's tons of people around you or a huge guild event, you can keep your descriptions to a sentence or two. You don't have to do paragraph after paragraph. But if it's one-on-one, and the other person understands what's going on, be descriptive. It's okay. You're telling a one-on-one story, so it's cool. But yeah, that is actually a very good point. Number 10 here, embrace failure.
No.
Okay, well, moving on to number 11. Failure
This
can
is
be
my character. I do whatever I want.
My character can't be bad,
dear
but
goodness.
failure
My
can
character's lawful good, okay?
embarrassing. And trust me, nobody hates failing at something more than I do. I don't like it, and but it's also what goes back to what we said in the other episode of not to choose is to choose. If you're better off failing because you made a choice, whether it be the wrong one, than not making a choice, and you still failed.
And honestly, it makes your character more believable if they do have fails
And
sometime.
faults. Yeah.
Because
Don't be a
Nobody's-
Mary Sue.
Yeah, don't
That was
be...
the thing I liked about Vaca, was that she was imperfect. And she made a lot of mistakes, and she attacked people who hadn't done anything really wrong, and she would just unload on them because she was angry about something else. That's what made Vaca Vaca. And she would never apologize, ever, even when she was dead wrong. It drove Xanis crazy.
Mm-hmm. And this next part works especially like in combat roleplay, because we actually do use dice for a lot of that.
Mhm.
I know that I get pretty het up. This dude is definitely some sort of European. I know that I get pretty het up when the dice don't favor me, when I've spent ages waiting to have my turn in a large game, say, or when I'm using some special power, or when I've been talking a big talk for a while and describe some fancy action, and then I use some pretty bad language too, and not fun bag language like we all do when we're gaming, like threatening, is this guy okay bad? And that's not cool. I need to learn to treat failure as a story branch, not block. Why did I miss? Why didn't my intimidation roll work? Or, just in general, why didn't I pick the lock? Why was I seen? Who worked out that I was the traitor? What are the other options I can explore? That is absolutely true. Especially in combat and a lot of roleplay. Nobody likes to fail. Nobody likes to fail in real life. Nobody likes to feel like they're a failure. But in RP, that's really where a lot of character building comes from.
Yeah, it does.
I like, in combat RP, when we do spars for anyone, I love to test people's mettle and that sort.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they can't handle their character being beat, then they are automatically on my list of people I will not freeform combat with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, how many
because
times did Tarvala lose? 3 times, I think, before
Yeah,
he
like-
finally won one. But that made sense.
I think 2 or 3 times. So I think
Yeah.
like what they spotted like what 5 times and
Something like that.
twice Raj's won, twice Tarval's won. I think
No,
one
that-
was just kind of like meh.
No, last night was her, or the other night was her first decisive victory.
Oh,
Like the
okay.
other one was.
I thought the other one was kind of meh.
No,
maybe
he's always made. She has beat him, and then he cheaped out on her. Like he
fight to win, bro.
Well, like she did that. Remember that time that he didn't. She was so excited that she had physically beat him, but she
Yeah.
didn't tell him to yield. So he was
Right.
able to pull her to the ground and get her in a chokehold, and then she had to yield. So while she did beat him in the short game, she didn't beat him in the long game. So that one
Yeah.
wasn't a win. That other role play, that was the first time she decisively won.
Right.
In all those fails before that, I mean, I understood. You and I, we free-formed every single one. There was not a single dice involved.
Yeah.
But
It's
it's just
just- it
how
just
it
doesn't
went.
make
It made
sense.
sense in the role play. But if it has been dice, like when we do other things,
Like the tournament thing. I think was it you that did the tournament?
yes, yeah,
Yeah, but you gave us buffs because we had the high ordinators had more experience,
Right,
and I
and
still lost. Like,
and I'll be honest, I tried that as an experiment. Literally outside of all the rules, it only made a difference in one, and that person, it still made in the long term, it made no difference at all. It didn't. Everyone's roles
Yeah.
were so far apart that the +1 or +2 made no difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, that's the thing. Even as a high ordinator and as skilled as he is, like Jazz has said before, when it comes to combat, man, all it takes is one lucky punch to the temple and, in like in a real life fight, and you're out.
Yep.
Yep.
It doesn't
And
matter.
I
Sucker
think
punch
that's-
too.
That's
I mean,
why
if
the
someone's-
dice works. Go ahead.
Like if I RP that I'm gonna sucker punch someone, and like they either, I mean, number one, I shouldn't be sucker punching people.
Probably not in your position, no. But it's say if you
Yeah.
were another character.
If someone gets sucker punched, and the person's like, "Oh, I dodged it," I mean, that's cool and all, but you gotta figure out why you got sucker punched. I mean, if I'm coming from behind you and I swing a hard right hook to your goddamn chin, how are you gonna dodge that? But that can also relate to being God Modi, because
Mhm.
Yeah.
you don't want to be like, "Oh, I sucker punched you. You should be able to defend that." But then they could be like, "Well, that's God modding."
And then they see, and when it comes to like that, like, oh my God, mod a little back. Like, and sometimes on situations like that, it depends if, like, you could legitimately, if you're already fighting and someone then tries to sucker punch you, are you not already on your guard, expecting maybe them just
Yeah.
like swing out? So there's possibilities there,
Uh-huh.
but if you lose, or, you lose an argument, you lose a fight, man, just lose. It's like we've said in the servants with people getting lashings, and almost everybody has, because they've done something in character that was just butt stupid.
Yep.
So
I mean, Raj has gotten so many lashings at once, because now we do like 10 lashes, whatever. Raj used to get 25 lashes, like
Mhm.
per,
Like that.
like
yeah, you basically pass out by the end of that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
ac-
just how it
it's-
works.
What
it's
you
actually
tell
quite
me
funny.
is Raj is a bad boy.
That's right. He used to
Oh,
be.
yeah. Raj has always been a bad boy. That's why he's married. 'Cause everyone likes that bad boy.
Everyone likes the bad boy. She just settled.
Oh!
Oof. All right, guys, I'm gonna
Gonna go put some
leave.
salve on that burn. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go take a shower too. Think about my life choices.
I'm a real man. I'm a real man.
I am a man.
Man. All right, let's wrap this up with number 11. Play the game, which in this game is basically just do the role play. This is a game. This is not a challenge that solely exists in your head, the head of your GM. This is not your character's personal story arc. This is not your blog. This is not an excuse to chat up some of the other players. This is not a table to sit at in silence, or in our case, to sit at a keyboard in silence. This is a game. We all signed up to play a game together. We all are telling a story with each other, to each other, and the story comes first. So step back from the heat of combat, Step back from your character's difficult relationship with that half-drow mother. Wow. With their half-drow mother. That makes a lot more sense. Step back and away from the paladin's player. Keep stealing your dice. This is a game. Respect the other players. Respect the story and act in service of it. Or in our case, act in service to those around you. You know, respect. And we haven't had how many times have we respect that you will not always get respect that you'll not always get your way, and that not getting your way can be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so do what is best for the game, or do what's best for the story. Be active, be positive, be interesting, change things. And if you can't walk away at the end of the night with a good memory, with something that you could talk about at the pub in years to come, definitely English, then everybody at the table has failed. So, I mean, there's really not a whole lot of this in this list that I disagree with, but that is very true. Just have basic respect, you know, and it's a big problem with the internet in a lot of ways. Basic respect for other people on the internet is damn near non-existent. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. Whether you're talking politics, you're talking religion, you're talking anything on the internet, just person to person. I think we were talking about this earlier. Person to person interaction over the written word, or whether it be social media or, you know, typing in a game, it can be really hard, and people seem to forget that the other person typing on the other end of that is another person. It's another human being that's just as you know, hopeful, has just as many problems as you do, has just as many hopes and dreams as you do, that has just as many flaws, both personal, maybe even physical, that you do. You can't forget that. You have to always be there and realize that if you're going to get pissed at somebody because of something they wrote, maybe you should take a step back, just for a moment, and take a breath, because that person may not have meant it that way. That you don't have to come at everything in a negative sense. And it's really super easy on the internet, especially. Everything is that way. It's just so easy to do. And I've fallen into it. I think everybody has. I know, I'm pretty sure we all have at one point or another.
I haven't.
Perhaps.
Yeah, well, you're the good one.
I know!
Not
Waffle
you, the
good.
other one.
Oh. Oh.
You're terrible
Never
and
mind.
bad at everything you do.
You're correct.
Aw.
But no,
I'm not though.
Does anybody have any problem with that?
Nope.
No.
Actually, no.
Actually, I believe everybody should treat each other like shit. Utter shit.
I mean, that means the truth gets out a lot more often.
It
That's
probably
true.
does. Well, and, you know, and that's the thing. You can tell people, you know, like I said earlier, Jazz and I, we don't agree on a lot of stuff, you know, when it comes to the real life world, and that's okay. I can still be respectful to her, and I still love her as a person and as a friend. I don't have to agree with everything she says or she thinks. It's okay. I don't have to agree with everything Kishma says, or even my own,
Yes,
you know,
you do.
Sib, my own wife. Her and I don't agree on everything. You know, we're not required to. It'd actually be a pretty boring relationship in a marriage if we did.
Oh no, and we don't agree on.
No, she's wrong a lot.
Oh.
70%?
At least,
Lord.
yeah, she's definitely, you know, at least the top three.
Mhm.
Top three? What?
Top three most people that are wrong.
Oh, okay.
I'll remind you that later.
yeah, when she's standing
That
over my,
recliner's looking real nice.
yeah, I'm looking to lock myself in one of our spare bedrooms as she stands over me night with a pillow in her hand. Like, oh, top three wrong, huh? Looks like I'm one of the top three best husband smugglers too, or smotherers.
Smotherers.
I don't know why you're smuggling husbands, but
I'm smuggling husbands
Ooh.
now.
this is why I say we need a wall. She's smuggling husbands over the border and taking husbands away from wives in other countries.
Oh,
Build
dear.
the husband
gosh.
wall.
We just
my
went to
God.
a really weird place.
Yeah, smuggling,
Oh, we should just
smothering.
stop.
Yeah,
Just stop.
smuggling.
You should stop.
Smothering smothering husbands. So, but no, that, just interact with people, play, just try to have decent respect for people. And I know, I mean, we're all human. I get emotional. I get pissed off. I lost my shit at work today because other people weren't doing their fucking job, and it caused me to fuck up and waste 20 minutes of my day. That's not fun.
No, let's go down a different path.
But that happens. We're only human. Everybody loses their stuff and gets upset or has a moment of passion or something like that. We do our best, especially in roleplay. At least we have chat that we could stop something stupid from coming out of our fingers. We don't have. It's not like with speaking where something bad can come out. So, like
Kishman said, he types something out and then deletes it.
I've done the exact same thing.
And honestly, for me, it relieves that like anger that I feel sometimes.
And it gives me that chance where if I had said it, I'd be like, the second it comes out of my mouth, I'm like, fuck. Shouldn't have said that. That was really,
that happens to me. That happens to me on a daily basis when I accidentally swear in front of a customer. I'm like, oh fuck, oh shit, oh shit, sorry,
god damn it, oh I did it again, oh god.
It's just like curse vomit.
But and Alice says, yes, you can be respectful to them, but you still choose, but you still choose not to be. So, that is true. I do that. Just like everybody listening, I choose not to be respectful to you. You're all silly, silly people. That's why we love you. Because we are too. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Well, that was actually kind of fun and a lot more talking than I had anticipated. The reason I wanted to do this was so the Jazz wouldn't have to talk so much and cough up a lung. And yet, I heard her go mute.
I did a couple times. I had to cough up a lung for a little bit. It was not being nice.
Yeah,
but I got it stopped. So
yeah. So all right. So anybody, we'll go ahead and wrap this sucker up. I'm sorry we guys went so long on this, but hey, at least we got Kishmas in here. So hey, we got some Kishmas time. Anybody have any final thoughts on that?
Best time.
On that list, anything in particular? Y'all good? Y'all
ready? I'm Gucci.
Ready to get drunk? That's right.
Yes.
No. That was my drunk for the year right there.
Jazz is like, no, I'm good.
Although I didn't have a hangover, so
that's good.
Nice.
That's good.
That's good.
I did have a headache at like 5 a.m., but I often have a headache at 5 a.m. So.
Yes. So, go ahead and get everything going here. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed that. That was actually a lot, even more fun than I thought it would be. And just good general guidelines for roleplay. I know we've probably hit on all those topics at one point or another, but to kind of do them in this
nice
form,
to cover them, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll end up doing stuff like that from time to time, because it never hurts. It's like anything. You're never too good not to learn the basics. It's you can always have that little review. So again, appreciate everybody tuning into us at twitch.tv. If we had a flub reel, it would be probably 5 minutes of hilarity. But thanks everybody for tuning in. Twitch.tv/
Thanks guys.
RPMMORadio.
Thanks everyone.
Talk over him a little bit because he likes that.
Yes.
Yeah, he loves it.
You guys can actually stop so I can get through this and we can go because the music's going to run out. So
okay,
you can contact us through RPMMORadio at gmail.com, facebook.com/RPMMORadio, and of course at Twitter at RPMMORadio. And again, if you want to join our Discord, we love having you guys here. You can always call in during a show at rpmmoradio.com/Discord. Sorry, totally reading something else there. And we'd love to have you. We love talking to you guys during the week. It's pretty cool seeing everybody chit-chatting and going on about their way and talking roleplay during the week and getting updates from you. It also gives you the best place to get live updates from what we're doing. So with that, tune in next time when we find out why halflings only eat top 10 roleplay lists. Next time on RPMMO Radio. Good night, everybody. The thoughts and opinions of RPMMO Radio and their crew are just that and should not be taken as the gospel truth. There it goes again. Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/huskybythegeek to hear all his great rock covers of gaming music and original soundtracks.